1. Chapter 1462 Chapter 356 Restoring the Clan's Name. Kid, you're in luck. It's a pity you didn't manage to ascend to the immortal monarch realm this time. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared at the Dream 9 Abyss sect, accompanied by another elder, with restrained power and eyes like a dragon lurking in the Nine Nether. Hearing this provocative remark, everyone looked over and saw the youth's emblem indicating he belonged to the Yun Jin royal family. Li Hao saw it was Jin Fengling, his eyes slightly raised, but his expression did not change, only a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. Yun Jin royal family, with the great battle imminent, coming here to disturb the minds of our sect disciples seems a bit rude, don't you think? The great Dream Master frowned, seeing that this person was targeting Li Hao. He immediately shielded Li Hao behind him and said coldly. Jin Fengling ignored the great Dream Master, only looking mockingly at Li Hao, but said nothing further, as he faintly felt a terrifying gaze descending from the clouds. His intention in coming here was to mock Li Hao, to stir anger and disrupt his focus. But he also knew this was somewhat against the rules, and if he overstepped, it might bring trouble upon himself. Humph! He snorted coldly and turned to leave. Once he left, everyone in the sect was full of anger. That Yun Jin royal family is just too despicable. Clearly, even when 5 of them teamed up earlier, they were no match for Brother Haotian. Now they come picking on someone smaller, trying to make trouble. Exactly, they can't accept defeat, truly shameful. Brother Haotian, don't let him affect you, just treat him like he's nothing. Everyone was cursing and persuading Li Hao, afraid he'd be affected and feel pressured. After all, the Yun Jin royal family member just now was at the immortal monarch realm. The provocation and threat in his words were filled with aggressiveness, inevitably affecting one's mood. The great Dream Master's eyes were somber, not expecting such despicable behavior from the Yun Jin royal family, but they were of royal blood, backed by the great emperor of the immortal dynasty, and it was rumored that the emperors of the 7 immortal dynasties were all at the peak of the immortal king realm, with some even at the half-step emperor realm. With Dream 9 Abyss sect strength, naturally it was impossible to clash head-on with such a royal family, and despite the anger they could only bite the bullet and endure, planning to report this to the Yen and Chu royal family for support. I'm fine. Li Hao shook his head, having guessed the other party's intentions. At this moment, an ancient and mighty aura suddenly emanated from the Emperor platform, carrying a sense of ancient times. A grand array sealed the Emperor platform, and 2 figures unknown since when were already in it, mutually poised for confrontation. The first match, disciple of the Red Border Immortal Dynasty Heavenly Gate sect, Qi Yang clan's Qi Jiangyang, versus the Tianzhou Immortal Dynasty royal family's Su Wushuang. The Immortal Guard commander introduced loudly, the sound echoing through the southern domain among the immortal dynasties. Besides the participating disciples, their backgrounds, backing immortal dynasties, sects, or clans were also showcased, bringing glory as a testament to their background. Upon hearing this, all sect disciples within the Red Border Immortal Dynasty couldn't help but watch, paying close attention to this match. The same was true for the Tianzhou Immortal Dynasty, and within these 2 dynasties, each immortal city erupted in cheers of encouragement, cheering for their respective geniuses. Even though they knew the sound wouldn't reach the southern domain, the immortal cities were still filled with bustling voices. Let's observe for now. Li Hao smiled, reassuring everyone in the sect. The great Dream Master saw that Li Hao didn't seem too affected and felt slightly relieved, yet he looked towards the Yun Jin royal family's side with rarely seen coldness in his eyes. On the Emperor platform, the 2 disciples had already begun their duel. The Tianzhou royal family displayed extremely domineering power from the start, revealing an immortal seal, surprisingly the 9-flower immortal seal. Knowing this was the opening match of the top 100, he did not deliberately hold back, but aimed for a swift victory. Across from him, the girl from the Heavenly Gate sect wielded a rare bell weapon, continuously ringing out a tinkling sound. This sound could create illusions, affecting the primordial spirit, and if the divine soul were ordinary, just 2 rings of the bell could enrapture it under her control. However, the Tianzhou royal family's attack was faster, and his primordial spirit seemed strong. Before any significant impact, he swiftly defeated the girl, piercing her head with a lance, showing no pity. Seeing the battle quickly decided, cheers erupted from the Tianzhou royal family's side. While in the Red Border Immortal Dynasty cities there were sighs and curses. That girl from the Heavenly Gate sect was not weak, but unfortunately that Tianzhou royal family member was stronger, with so many 9-flower immortal seals. Yushi murmured, feeling the terror of this top 100. She was no match for either of them. If the opponent is too strong and you feel you cannot win, you may concede to avoid losing your life. The Great Dream Master said, although the Supreme can preserve your soul heart, allowing you to reincarnate, rebuilding for a lifetime also consumes a lot of time. Everyone nodded. Soon the second match commenced. On the mountain peak, participating disciples from each immortal dynasty silently watched, sensing the intensity of the top 100 battles from the other matches. Among them, some were sheltered and slipped through the cracks, but in these top 100 battles, luck would no longer suffice. They could only rely on themselves. Before long, the 7th match arrived, and it was Yushi's turn to enter the fray. She was also the first disciple to take the stage from the Dream 9 Abyss sect. Good luck. Junior sister, don't be nervous, just demonstrate your Tao. Other disciples encouraged Yushi, casting her encouraging glances. Feeling the concern of her sect members, Yushi took a deep breath, feeling as if she was standing in her clan. Upon leaving the clan, her relatives and friends had also cared for her in this same way. 2 Chapter 1463 Chapter 356, Restoring the Clan's Name. While the girl harbored determination, she expressed her desire to venture out and make her mark, to vindicate her clan. Yushi nodded heavily, then glanced at Li Hao. Seeing the encouraging look he gave, she felt as if courage welled up within her. Afterward, she concentrated her mind and soared onto the Emperor platform. Ripples emanated from the great formation outside the Emperor platform, opening up for her. Once both parties entered the platform, it sealed again. 7th Battle, Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty's Great Dream 9 Abyss Sect, Chaos Clan's Yushi, against Wang Qin Immortal Dynasty's Imperial Family Member, Qin Xiangyu. Accompanied by the Immortal Guard Commander's voice, within the Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty's domain, everyone in the immortal cities was invigorated and looked toward the Emperor platform. But soon they all became tense. In past battles, whenever sect disciples faced off against the Imperial family, it was mostly the Imperial family who emerged victorious. After all, the cultivation provided to the Imperial families of each immortal dynasty far exceeded that given to sect disciples. Chaos Clan? Weren't they the jinx among the 100 races? How have they re-emerged? How did the Chaos Clan manage to come to our Yen Chu? It's said that wherever the Chaos Clan resides, disasters surely follow. Within the Yen Chu 9,000 immortal cities, many people were discussing worriedly. Who would have thought the Chaos Clan hadn't gone extinct? And now they're within the Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty. This Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty is truly daring to even harbor the Chaos Clan. When the ancient demon attacked, it brought heavenly disasters. Haven't they learned their lesson yet? Indeed, it's said that this Chaos Clan was responsible for the Immortal Emperor's death. All of them brought forth the ancient demon disaster. Such a clan shouldn't exist in this world. In the Wang Qin Immortal Dynasty, many fervently condemned while simultaneously cheering for their Immortal Dynasty's imperial family. Atop the mountain there were quite a few participants from various immortal dynasties, all whispering among themselves. It's sheer. Is it Sister Shi's turn to compete? Yushi's opponent is an imperial family member from Wang Qin Immortal Dynasty. She probably won't stand a chance. Even if Yushi is defeated, she has already brought glory to our clan, showing the world that the Chaos Clan also has extraordinary talents. At the border of a distant ordinary immortal dynasty, amid deep mountains shrouded in miasma and poisons, lies a scenic haven resembling paradise. Here, the boundary stone also reflects the battle happening in the southern domain, displayed in the sky. Thus, everyone within the clan witnessed the battle process of the Southern Domain Conference. When they first saw the girl, the entire clan was abuzz. The girl who once left her hometown vowing to carve out a path for her family, actually emerged as she promised. Moreover, it has only been a few years since she departed until now. The Great Dream 9 Abyss sect is a sect that was once helped by the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor. No wonder they sheltered Shearer. Sister Yushi is certain to win, right? Don't say that. Just by having your sister Yushi compete, she has already won, having exerted unimaginable efforts. Within the clan, everyone, young and old alike, gathered at the mountain top, nervously watching the scenes unfold on the Emperor platform. Ever since the heavenly calamity Immortal Emperor's demise, our Chaos Clan has suffered in the True Realm, enduring bullying. The races that once followed us all betrayed us and spread rumors that our clan caused the ancient demons to invade the True Realm. Such absurd remarks, yet fools really believed them. They didn't believe it, but needed a scapegoat. If the ancient demons were considered heavenly disasters, then they'd have to find someone who angered the heavenly Tao to bear the blame, so they can rest easy. Within the clan, the elder-faced woman was the clan leader of the Chaos Clan. Beside her were 7 other elders, all with weathered faces. 3 since being ostracized by the True Realm and falling from the ranks of the 100 races, none of the major clans regard them seriously, and the rumors brew stronger, making the false seem real. That child Sheer actually managed to reach the Southern Domain Conference, truly remarkable. She left when she barely touched the true immortal realm, still green. The Great Dream 9 Abyss sect is a benefactor to our clan. Everyone, should you encounter its disciples, do extend aid if possible. All the clan elders nodded in agreement. The clan had other members stepping out, seeking masters and learning, but the slightly larger sects feared them upon hearing that they're from the Chaos Clan, avoiding them at all costs. This was why the Chaos Clan was growing weaker. Compared to other major clans, new blood lacked quality cultivation opportunities, relying solely on clan growth, which was markedly slow. While discussions ensued within the Chaos Clan, on the Emperor platform stood Qin Xiangyu, donned in black armor, looking gallant as she casually gazed at the girl before her. She was already apprised of her opponent's details when they drew lots. "If I were you, I wouldn't dare make a scene in this world," Qin Xiangyu stated indifferently. Yu Shi, who was constantly concentrating her attention, found herself surprised upon hearing this and then noticed the disdain in the Imperial Princess's eyes across from her. As a member of the Chaos Clan, her sensitivity was extreme. Despite achieving eternity in Tao Heart, progressing further seemed elusive. The current plight of the Chaos Clan was like a nightmare rooted deep in every clan member's heart. "What do you mean?" She glared at the opposite side, her tone deep and raspy. "Chaos Clan, although not as exaggerated as rumored, hasn't brought any good. How did you earn a spot in the top 100 battles earlier? I doubt you can on your own." Qin Xiangyu said indifferently, "If people know you're from the Chaos Clan, they'll surely attack you together." Yushi's face changed, yet she knew it was true. This made her feel even more ashamed, just like when the 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower learned of her race and outright refused her entry. She did nothing wrong, so why? Why this collective assault? For what reason? Our Chaos Clan wields the Destruction Tao, one of the heavenly Tao, not that we inherently bring disaster. Yushi's fingers clenched tightly, her physique sinking into her palm, yet her gaze became deeper, sharper. Her voice was not hysterical, but each word seemed deeply buried in her heart, repeated countless times, voiced suppressedly and somberly on the highest Emperor platform of the Southern Domain Conference. Knife and sword, both are deadly weapons, Slaughter Tao, Destruction Tao, all are part of the Heavenly Tao. But has anyone ever feared the Destruction Tao? Rebuked the Slaughter Tao? They've been pursued and respected by the masses, so why must my Chaos Clan bear eternal infamy? Upon hearing the girl's words in the distant valley within the Chaos Clan, countless clan members trembled, tearfully moistening their eyes. The girl's words were the cry of every Chaos Clan member's heart. "Ha, stop finding excuses, these are established facts." Qin Xiangyu snorted coldly, saying, "Wielding disaster power is true, but you're inevitably unable to fully control it. Hence, vanishing would be best." "How do you know we can't control it?" Yushi instantly gritted her teeth, her eyes reddening. She could handle arguments but couldn't accept baseless slander and conjecture. "Stop wasting words, let's end this quickly." Qin Xiangyu was disinterested in further debates. She had no interest in arguing over universally accepted facts or caring about their truth. Her path was to become king or die trying. Her cultivation aim was to reach the pinnacle of the immortal king realm, not to engage in empty chatter. As her words fell, her entire body erupted with powerful immortal power. A Dharma aspect emerged behind her, clad in black armor, holding a long spear. Behind the Dharma aspect there were 3 entwining rainbow streamers, a unique feature of the Xiannu clan's Dharma aspect. Within her body lay the Xiannu lineage from her mother, a member of the True Realm 100 races. Yushi felt the overwhelming aura surging towards her, her hair blown backward. Her complexion changed as her opponent's aura surpassed her expectations. Before stepping onto the platform, she was fully prepared, aiming to fight with all her might. If she couldn't prevail, she'd surrender swiftly. But now she realized she wasn't her opponent's match. Yet surrender just like that? She looked at those emotionless eyes in the black armor, her heart felt stabbed, teeth gritting tightly. Forefather, if you still wish to protect your clansmen, please grant me strength. She silently called in her heart, simultaneously exploding with immortal power, revealing a Dharma aspect. An eye-covered black female statue arose behind her, exuding an ancient aura. 4 Chapter 1464 Chapter 357 Ascension. Chaos Ancestral Witch. Upon seeing that blindfolded black female statue, Emperor Chu and the others on the cloud mist all focused their gaze solemnly. Unexpectedly, that little girl from the Chaos Clan could summon the ancestral witch of the Chaos Clan to manifest as a Dharma aspect, surely harboring extraordinary ambitions, with high hopes entrusted by the clan. Once an existence that reached the immortal Emperor realm, but fell 10,000 years ago, long before the invasion of the ancient demons, having declined in the Battle of the Broken Realm. Emperor Tianzhao whispered, all the history concerning the Chaos Ancestral which was long veiled in the passage of time, yet these immortal dynasty emperors still remember that dust-covered ancient history, pertaining to another terrifying war. Since the fall and disappearance of the Chaos Ancestral Witch, the Chaos Clan gradually declined, later attaching themselves to the command of the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor, greatly esteemed by him. But in the ancient demon war, with the fall of the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor, the Chaos Clan started to fade into obscurity in the True Realm, their reputation in shambles. Among the True Realm 100 races, during its golden age, most ancestors gave birth to ultimate existences. Unexpectedly, traces of the Chaos Ancestral which still remain in the endless space-time. Indeed, having reached the immortal Emperor realm, it's not easy to completely obliterate its traces in the passage of time unless entirely eradicating the Chaos Clan and removing the Calamity Path from the Heavenly Tao origin, but that is impossible to achieve. The original Venerable Empress softly spoke. Both conditions are extremely difficult to achieve, not to mention the scattered bloodline of the Chaos Clan, attempting complete extermination. If they were to band together in a siege, this could indeed be done. But wanting to remove the Calamity Path from the Heavenly Tao origin, even an immortal emperor finds this difficult to accomplish. This is the reason for being an immortal emperor realm existence, able to leave their name for all eternity, once an emperor revered for eternity. It seems this little girl should be the new witch of the Chaos Clan. Emperor Qi said. Beside him, Emperor Qin of the Wang Qin immortal dynasty, dressed in a black robe, remained silent. When Yuxi unveiled her Dharma aspect in various regions of the southern domain, some hidden elders all opened their eyes, showing surprise. Those long-sealed memories now unlocked in their minds. Chaos Ancestral which manifests, could another calamity be upon us soon? It's indeed the Chaos Ancestral Witch, the entity who established the Calamity Path. On the mountaintop, Li Taimu saw Yuxi's Dharma aspect and showed confusion on his face. Her Dharma aspect, why is it this? Earlier, he had seen Yuxi's Dharma aspect, and it was not like this. Now, can the Dharma aspect actually change? The Great Dream Master saw the blindfolded black female statue, his pupils slightly contracted. He hadn't thought this little girl from his sect would possess the witch bloodline of the Chaos Clan. No wonder the Master of Sword Abyss Yun Wumian once said he saw a trace of ancestral witch power revealed in the Emperor's sword by that little girl. At the time it was thought to be an illusion, but it was indeed real. This is... Li Hao saw Yuxi's Dharma aspect and suddenly thought of seeing some sculptures within the Heavenly Calamity Emperor Hall, among which was this blindfolded woman's statue. At this moment on the Emperor platform, Yuxi's eyes turned pitch black, her whites disappeared, appearing extremely eerie, yet her entire being exuded boundless might. The immortal power on her body diffused like thousands of ribbons, yet the previously silvery pure immortal power now turned into a black aura, dispersing like swirling smoke. Qin Xiangyu saw the transformation and her expression slightly changed, feeling a bit uneasy. But she quickly composed herself, fiercely wielding her spear to attack. "Let me break the calamity," she murmured, her long spear igniting black radiance, like black lightning cutting through, compressing space, arriving in an instant. Malice flickered in Yushi's eyes, her entire being filled with power she never felt before. Within her heart, a deep prayer and call seemed truly to gain the favor of the ancestors at this moment. Since the ancestors are willing to bestow power, how can she not fulfill it? If they say I'm calamity, then calamity it is. Those who stand against me will find it their calamity. Yushi's eyes were deep and pitch black, her whole being emitted an ancient domineering aura. This moment she no longer defended, no longer avoided, since the world so believes, then let them see clearly. The sword shadow swept up, like a myriad of black ravens soaring, transforming into black sword shadows, merging in an instant, along with the power of chaos, surrounding the void around the Emperor platform, diffusing the aura of the Calamity Path. This Calamity Path twists the surrounding other Tao origins, including space-time. In a flash, Qin Xiangyu's spear radiance shattered, black power like countless vines entwined her body, causing her immortal power to rapidly dissipate, unable to gather more from the void. Qin Xiangyu was startled, her eyes showed shock and anger, her Xian-Nu bloodline exploded within, with the Dharma aspect behind her emitting a long cry, dispersing a faint Xian-Nu divine light, enfolding her body, barely resisting the invasion of the Calamity power. Then her movement technique turned into thousands, all attacking Yushi simultaneously, like a 10-direction hunt, unavoidable. Chaos boundless. Yushi felt a sudden enlightenment, murmuring softly. A black hurricane of chaos power suddenly enveloped her body, while the violent chaos force tore apart, sweeping all directions, including Qin Xiangyu charging with her spear, twisting them into shadows of gray. Qin Xiangyu's true form holding the spear broke into the hurricane, greeted by a sharp sword light. With a clash sound, her spear Dao and the sword Dao clashed, space-slicing power radiated from Qin Xiangyu's spear body, dimming the sword light by 3 inches. Yet then the sword light rapidly intensified, forcing back the spear radiance. Borrowing ancestral power, is this truly the strength of your true form? 5. Chapter 1465 Chapter 357, Ascension Part 2. Qin Xiangyu was forced back, sensing the transformation of the young girl before her. She felt a trembling sensation in her heart, as the aura and gaze of the opponent seemed entirely different from before. She had fought countless battles and slain many ancient demons without ever feeling fear. Yet at this moment a shiver crept into her heart. Use it for me as it is my power. Yushi murmured, her gaze unchanging as sword aura swiftly struck out. She was employing the Sword God technique, infused with chaos power, as if it were the Dark Sword God technique. Kill! The sword light shattered layers of void, revealing extreme realm power, attacking Qin Xiangyu in an instant. Qin Xiangyu swung her spear fiercely, but the chaos power from the sword severed her spear Dao's strength, rapidly diminishing it, and soon Yushi's continuous attacks pushed her to the edge of the Emperor platform. Impossible! Qin Xiangyu was incredulous with rage, clearly sensing that although the opponent's sword Dao wasn't as adept in other Dao compared to hers, the chaos power was disrupting her various Dao, including her mind, leaving her with a feeling of trembling retreat. Her mind faltered and her strength weakened, causing her to fall more and more behind in the battle, being thoroughly suppressed by Yushi. The members of the Wang Qin royal family were all shocked by this sight. In their view, even if Qin Xiangyu couldn't make it into the top 10, she should at least be in the top 20. Was she actually going to be defeated? Bang! The furious sword light shattered the spear aura into fragments of mystical light, and Qin Xiangyu's body collided with the ceiling array barrier beside the Emperor platform. She spat out a mouthful of blood, looking at Yushi with rage and disbelief. Yushi, however, looked at her expressionlessly, advancing with her sword in hand. Defeat? No, I cannot be defeated. Qin Xiangyu's heart pounded rapidly, yet within her eyes was the stubbornness and determination typical of a man willing to risk everything. I, a member of the imperial family, have climbed famous mountains, apprenticed to renowned teachers, slain 3,000 ancient demons, and practiced tirelessly through the seasons. How can I lose to you? I must advance my mother's position. I cannot lose. Qin Xiangyu bit her silver teeth hard, fresh blood spilling from her mouth. Her eyes sparkled like stars as her body emanated the vigorous Xian-Nu bloodline. The 9-flower immortal seal rotated from her forehead, blooming like a lotus platform. I cannot lose. She roared as she charged forward, driven by her unyielding reason not to lose. Having traversed millions of miles to this southern domain battle, she aimed for glory, so that the Wang Qin immortal dynasty would know her name. As the Xiannu bloodline surged, the nine-flower immortal seal seemed to crack, and the overwhelming immortal power condensed into a spear, launching forth abruptly. The chaos power tilted, continuously corroding the spear, yet the immortal power in this thrust was so immense that despite layers of chaos deprivation, it still carried unmatched power. Bang! Yushi's sword was deflected, the spear aura piercing through her chest. But she didn't retreat. Instead, she slapped out with a palm, breaking the spear embedded in her body, and then sword aura slashed out again, without any evasion. Qin Xiangyu neither retreated. As the mystical light condensed on the spear, she attacked once more. Both pierced through each other's bodies, severely wounding each other, yet neither backed down. The ferocious life-and-death battle stunned countless spectators, rendering the scene utterly silent. No one expected the viciousness of this duel between the two women to surpass that of other men's contests, as though they had both staked their lives. Xiangyu. In the Wang Qin immortal dynasty's imperial court, a stunningly beautiful Xiannu noblewoman had moist eyes. In a distant mountain deep within the lands of a great clan, countless clansmen lamented, sending out calls. The myriad calls seemed to traverse space-time and bloodlines, reaching the ears of the young girl on the Emperor platform. The black light in her eyes grew deeper, and the aura of the ancestral which enveloped her, forming a black domain around her. She manifested a Dao domain, enveloping Qin Xiangyu within. Within the pure black Dao domain, there was only the destructive, deadly, decaying power of chaos. Qin Xiangyu's flesh and blood slipped off, and even her battle armor couldn't be maintained with immortal power, fading into nothingness. She raised her hand, marking her forehead, as Xiannu blood flowed, transforming into golden flames, burning on her forehead, forging a new path for her. Die! She roared, disregarding the shattering immortal seal, fusing numerous immortal secret techniques into a spear, which carried an unstoppable force as it struck towards Yushi. Yushi slashed out several sword auras, all shattered, as the spear penetrated her chest, blasting her body against the Emperor platform, dissipating the Dao domain. Seeing this scene, Li Taimu and the Great Dream Master, along with others, felt their tense hearts shatter at this moment. They could see that Yushi already used all her strength, but unfortunately the gap in raw power was too great. Qin Xiangyu's nine-flower immortal seal made her immortal power several times that of Yushi. 1. Indeed, the nine-flower immortal seal is truly more terrifying. This Chaos Clan is so strong, even standing outside the Emperor platform, I feel as if something earth-shattering is about to happen, leaving me on tenterhooks. Never thought the Chaos Clan would have such an outstanding talent. On mountaintops and throughout the southern domain, countless people gazed at the girl nailed to the ground by the long spear, with astonishment and sighs in their eyes. Nobody imagined that the Chaos Clan possessed such formidable power. Even though she was defeated, many saw the strength of the Chaos Clan. Across from her, Qin Xiangyu was covered in blood, her hair disheveled, panting heavily. Her wounds healed rather slowly, as the chaos power hindered her body's self-healing. Even the undying Extreme Realm's blood regeneration slowed at this moment. Just when everyone thought this fierce life-and-death struggle was over, suddenly, dense black air emanated from Yushi's chest. She abruptly pulled out the spear lodged in her chest and instantaneously flashed to attack. Bang! With a flicker of her figure, she appeared before Qin Xiangyu. The spear's reverse sweep shattered her body, forcing her to kneel on the ground. Chapter 1466 Chapter 357 Advancement Part 3. The long spear in her palm suddenly transformed into a sword shadow, which she slashed out with a wave of her hand, directly piercing towards Qin Xiangyu's forehead. All of this changed extremely quickly, leaving countless people unable to react, completely caught off guard. Qin Xiangyu also didn't react in time, momentarily stunned in place, only seeing that sword shadow rapidly expand in her pupils, plunging her mind into brief blankness. But soon the sword shadow stopped, halted right at the tip of her nose. The surrounding furious killing intent was restrained at this moment, and in that girl's pitch-black eyes there was coldness devoid of emotion. You lost. 3 words, slowly spoken. Qin Xiangyu trembled slightly, gazing at that sword tip shining with a cold gleam. She knew that if the opponent had just slashed down with that sword, her body would inevitably be torn apart. With the opponent's chaos power, she wouldn't have time to be reborn, she would be completely annihilated. Although blood rebirth had a strong life-saving ability, in the true immortal realm, it was no longer invincible. As long as the speed of rebirth could be delayed and all blood and flesh bodies rapidly obliterated, one could be completely exterminated, and this was not difficult for immortal techniques. Qin Xiangyu lowered her head, silent. Tears flowed from her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She had fought all the way to here only to lose, defeated in the first of the top 100 battles. Why didn't you kill me? After a while, she asked softly. The sword light in Yushi's hand slowly dissipated at this time. The blackness in her eyes faded, revealing her whites, with a hint of weariness in her expression. I have the power of chaos and also the right to choose my chaos targets. She softly left a sentence, turned around and left. The voice was gentle, though it was an exchange between the two. Through the boundary stone reflecting the southern domain, it reverberated over countless immortal cities. At this moment, countless people were plunged into shock. That brief sentence was like a heavy hammer pounding on their souls. And within the depths of the distant mountains where the Chaos Clan resided, countless people were in tears. This sentence once again voiced the sentiments of their clan. Qin Xiangyu stood there, speechless, looking at the back of the girl leaving. Suddenly, she felt that it seemed like everyone who came to this Emperor platform to compete carried unknown burdens. Suddenly, she felt relieved, a bitter smile appearing at the corner of her mouth, softly apologizing, and then she also turned to leave. The sealing array barrier opened, and the Immortal Guard commander announced the outcome. Yushi advanced to the top 50. With his announcement, a cheer erupted within the Dream 9 Abyss sect. On the other side, the members of the Wang Qin royal family wore icy expressions, their gazes cold and fierce. Looking at the returning Yushi, Gu Yan's eyes lit up slightly, feeling like he was meeting this senior sister for the first time. He was originally extremely proud, having only regarded Li Hao seriously before, but now this senior sister also stirred an unspeakable respect in him. Well done. Li Hao looked at her weary expression and smiled slightly. Yushi squeezed out a smile for Li Hao and Gu Yan among others, but as the power from her chaos bloodline faded away, she only felt deep exhaustion. She raised her gaze, seeing only the disciples of the Dream 9 Abyss sect cheering for her, while the eyes from others held surprise, complexity, and seriousness. She discerned from those gazes that many people were still apprehensive of her Chaos Clan identity. This 10,000-year-old ingrained impression had not been completely changed by her battle. She remembered what the clan elder once said, that for the Chaos Clan to completely redeem its name, they would need to follow an immortal emperor. As long as an immortal emperor spoke on their behalf, all the slander would vanish. At that time, in her youthful spirit, she told the clan elder that if she couldn't become the disciple of an immortal emperor and gain their favor while outside, she would become an immortal emperor herself. This battle she had given her all, but it was unknown whether she could gain the attention of an immortal emperor. She cast her gaze towards the heavenly palace venerable high up in the sky, only to find that his gaze, like the sun and moon overlooking the earth, did not seem focused on her. 7. Chapter 1467 Chapter 358 Heavenly Battle Clan. She raised her head and looked around, seeing only the disciples of the Dream 9 Abyss sect calling for her, while the gazes from others were filled with astonishment, complexity, and gravity. From those gazes she could discern that many people still feared her Chaos Clan identity. The entrenched impressions over the past 100,000 years had not been completely changed by this battle. She remembered that the elders in her clan once said that for the Chaos Clan to truly vindicate itself, it must follow an immortal emperor. As long as an immortal emperor spoke on their behalf, no amount of defamation would last. At that time, in her youthful exuberance, she told the clan elders that if she couldn't become the disciple of an immortal emperor outside, earning the favor of an immortal emperor, she would reach the pinnacle and become an immortal emperor herself. In this battle, she had given her all but did not know if she could attract the attention of an immortal emperor. Her gaze turned to the heavenly palace venerable high above, but his gaze, like the sun and moon overlooking the world, did not seem focused on her. She remembered that the elders in her clan once said that for the Chaos Clan to truly prove themselves, they must follow an immortal emperor. As long as an immortal emperor spoke on their behalf, no amount of defamation would last. At that time, in her youthful exuberance, she told the clan elders that if she couldn't become the disciple of an immortal emperor outside, earning the favor of an immortal emperor, she would reach the pinnacle and become an immortal emperor herself. Yet in this battle, he seemed to be overlooking without focusing on her. Yushi's eyes changed subtly, lightly biting her lip. She knew that her victory in this battle mainly relied on her bloodline power, and there was still significant room for improvement in her own mastery of the great Tao essence. At the very least, she needed to catch up to Li Hao's pace. Thinking this, she glanced at Li Hao, showing a bit of respect in her eyes. Having battled Qin Xiangyu, she now more deeply understood the terrifying nature of this little junior brother by her side. If he were to fight instead, he should be able to win quite easily. Following Yushi's victory, the 8th battle soon commenced. Attention in the southern domain slowly shifted to the 8th match. Yushi quietly rested on the side, reminiscing about the feeling of the battle just now and that power. Besides the bloodline power, she felt as if she had also grasped the awareness and belief of her ancestors, as if across countless space-time, her ancestor had transmitted their power to her. Could it be that the ancestor had not truly perished? She pondered in her heart. At this moment, within the Wang Qin royal family. Xiangyu, don't be upset. That Dream 9 Abyss sect, there are 2 people who encountered us. I will get justice for you. A young man said to Qin Xiangyu. Qin Xiangyu was somewhat lost in thought, but upon hearing this her expression changed slightly, shaking her head. A loss is a loss, I admit defeat. She is indeed formidable. Don't think too much about it. That Chaos clan dares to step on my Wang Qin royal family to make a name for themselves? Emph. The young man's eyes were disdainful as he waved his hand to stop Qin Xiangyu from persuading further, having already made up his mind. Qin Xiangyu's expression changed slightly, somewhat angry. This is my matter, don't interfere. The reputation of our royal family must be regained. Us taking action is none of your concern. Seeing this, the young man said coldly. Qin Xiangyu's face turned unsightly, and she turned her head to look towards the Dream 9 Abyss sect, only to see them in a joyful atmosphere, cheering and celebrating for the girl who had won earlier. She was somewhat dazed. Could it be that the Chaos clan could receive so much admiration from others? On the Emperor platform, the battle was intense. The 8th group's duel quickly concluded, with one participant being Jin Ziyin, who previously contended with Li Hao for the Emperor platform, winning the match. Quickly, the 9th group and the 10th group stepped onto the stage in succession. It's almost your turn. The Great Dream Master looked at a disciple from Shuyuan. Under Li Hao's protection, he had also stepped into the ranks of the top 100. As a rare talent in Shuyuan, his presence in the southern domain battles brought glory to the sect. The young man nodded, exuding an air of scholarship. His Tao was the literature Tao of the highest realm, capable of recording the heavenly Tao Emperor realm and passing it to others, but since ancient times, no one has reached that ultimate realm. It is merely the ultimate pursuit in the hearts of countless practitioners of the literature Tao. Soon it was the turn of the 11th group to battle. Song Shuhai clasped hands with the Great Dream Master and then slightly clasped hands towards Li Hao before swiftly ascending the Emperor platform. Within the sect, many disciples immediately cheered and encouraged him. And within the Great Dream 9 Abyss sect of the Yan and Chu region, many disciples of Shuyuan were cheering loudly. It's senior brother Song Shuhai, it's finally his turn. Senior brother Shuyuan, keep going. If you can break into the top 50, that would be extraordinary. Go for it. Within the sect, many disciples were cheering. And within the 9,000 immortal cities of the Yan and Chu region, upon knowing that it was someone from the Yan-Chu immortal dynasty coming to battle, cheers erupted, shouting Song Shuhai's name to encourage him. Swoosh! On the Emperor platform, a silhouette in a black royal robe swiftly charged and leaped onto the platform, looking coldly at Song Shuhai. Song Shuhai saw the opponent, his eyes changing slightly, wondering if it was fate that he met someone from the Wang Qin immortal dynasty royal family again. He had previously observed that the Wang Qin immortal dynasty royal family had the highest number of entrants among the 7 dynasties, a total of 8, which increased their chances of meeting. Please. Song Shuhai slightly clasped his hands, appearing elegant and genteel. However, the young man across from him gazed disdainfully, revealing a look of contempt, not speaking a word. At this moment, with the sealing array barrier closing, the battle was on the verge of breaking out. Song Shuhai immediately unleashed his own literature Dao, a literary eye opening on his forehead, chanting, "I shine the literary heart upon the spirit of painting." Behind him suddenly appeared a Dharma aspect, not a human figure but a scroll resembling a painting. "Humph, you dare display petty tricks here." The young royal snorted coldly, suddenly raised his hand, and 3 Tao origins gathered in his palm, all exuding the 9 orders aura, namely the Golden Tao origin, Water Tao origin, and Fire Tao origin. 8 Chapter 1468 Chapter 358 Heavenly Battle Clan Part 2. Break. He raised his hand, the Water Tao origin and Fire Tao origin seemed to merge with each other. Then the Golden Tao origin transformed into a long spear, gathering the force of water and fire, and suddenly charged towards Song Shuhai. Song Shuhai felt the opponent's overwhelming momentum. His face changed drastically, the third of the 9 orders, and the water and fire seemed to reach some mysterious balance, bursting with power several times greater than the water and fire Tao. He hurriedly activated his literary heart. As he chanted rapidly, fierce beasts and a monstrous flood suddenly shot out from his Dharma aspect. On the battlefield he would definitely be considered a strong assistant, but on this Emperor platform battlefield, as soon as the fierce beasts and flood surged out, they were pierced by the long spear of the Imperial family youth. The water and fire Tao spiraled outwards, emitting red and blue light, piercing through everything in its path. Bang! Song Shuhai conjured 2 immortal techniques for defense, but they were instantly penetrated. He was struck by a force sent flying backward. He hurriedly said, "I surrender." He hadn't had time to unveil his full power, but the momentum of the opponent's spear was already overwhelming. He felt that even if he shattered his immortal seal, he might not be able to withstand it, so he decisively surrendered. Too late. The Emperor family youth's eyes were cold, his movement technique suddenly like a dream, refracting out with special power in the returning ruins extreme realm, appearing in front of Song Shuhai like a lightning flash, and the long spear pierced through his head. A primordial spirit shot out from Song Shuhai's body, fleeing in panic, looking at him in terror. "I already surrendered," he shouted loudly. But the Emperor family youth's spear did not stop at all. A primordial spirit covered in golden threads emerged from the top of his skull, instantly reaching Song Shuhai, intending to slay him. Compared to the opponent, Song Shuhai's primordial spirit was obviously much weaker. Although it had also broken through to the primordial spirit extreme realm, the condensed primordial spirit golden veins were few in number. Not good. The Great Dream Master's face changed drastically, watching this step in shock and anger, rushing out, but being blocked by the ceiling array barrier. And the Emperor family youth's primordial spirit was raising its hand to suppress downward, but time suddenly froze, unable to move further. Why push for complete annihilation? The Immortal Guard commander's indifferent voice rang out, his figure unexpectedly appearing on the Emperor platform, blocking the opponent's maliciously intent attack, then waving a hand, sending Song Shuhai's primordial spirit back into his body, while releasing a surge of immortal power, quickly healing his body, erasing the water and fire Tao force from the wounds. In this battle, Wang Qin Immortal Dynasty's Qin Mingyi wins. The Immortal Guard commander announced on the spot, then looked at the Imperial family youth with a gloomy expression, shaking his head slightly, knowing that the other may have wanted to avenge Qin Xiangyu earlier, but this was obviously too ruthless. Seeing Song Shuhai saved, the Great Dream Master and Li Hao among others all breathed a sigh of relief. What is the Wang Qin royal family doing, actually trying to kill someone on the spot? Senior brother Song Shuhai already surrendered, yet he still made a move. Absolutely despicable, such arrogance in front of the Supreme and the emperors of various immortal dynasties. Is this the Wang Qin royal family too arrogant? The disciples within the sect were incredibly shocked and angry. Yushi was somewhat stunned, suddenly realizing vaguely that this might have been brought upon by herself. She felt a bit of remorse inside, looking at that senior brother. Li Hao's eyes were cold, staring deeply at that youth without speaking. The arrogance of the imperial family truly not restrained at all. Gu Yan murmured, also showing a murderous expression. That Wang Qin royal family is so domineering, the opponent has already surrendered, yet still wants to execute them. 9. I've long heard the Wang Qin royal family thinks so highly of themselves, and indeed it's true. Humph, what do you know, that person lacked strength and should have admitted defeat as soon as they took to the stage, had to experience the might to know to surrender on the battlefield, who would give them a chance to plead? In the Wang Qin immortal dynasty, a small portion felt Qin Mingyi was too ruthless, but more supported their own imperial family, believing this was the harsh competition geniuses should face. When Song Shuhai returned, everyone rushed to meet him, expressing concern. Song Shuhai was still in shock, shaking his head saying, "I'm fine, luckily the immortal guard commander intervened in time." If truly beneath the Supreme's nose a surrender was met with death, that would indeed be no justice. The great Dream Master's eyes showed a bit of coldness as he spoke. Upon hearing this, everyone thought the same. If the Supreme and the emperors of various immortal dynasties couldn't stop it in time, that would be too outrageous. If later you find anything amiss, you must surrender timely to avoid perishing and reincarnating. The great Dream Master said to the others. The other few nodded, not feeling humiliated by these words, knowing that their ability to reach the top 100 and battle alone on the Emperor platform was due to the opportunity brought by Li Hao. Before long, a new round of battles began. Li Hao watched with arms folded, soon seeing Lin Qingyue take to the stage. In the Sword Ancestor land, Li Hao had initiated Lin Qingyue into the Nihility Sword Dao. The core of this sword style is nothingness. Now Lin Qingyue had comprehended this Dao to a very profound level, her sword qi elusive and tricky beyond belief. Though her foundation was still shallow, she eventually lost. After her defeat, Lin Qingyue looked somewhat dejected, but knowing she had reached her limit. She glanced towards Li Hao, seeing the encouraging gaze of the boy, making her sense of loss turn much more bearable. So strong that Sword Dao is indefensible. That's a disciple of the 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower, of course their Sword Dao is extraordinary. Though defeated, I feel that the ordinary true immortal realm 10th layer wouldn't even know how they died before her. People were buzzing, discussing from various places in the southern domain, recognizing Lin Qingyue's fearsome Sword Dao. In a certain deep mountain sword arena, an old woman walked out of a cave dwelling, wielding a cane that was actually a sword scabbard, concealing a blade within. Nothing Dao at such a young age to have grasped the Nothing Dao so deeply. 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower? Interesting, I wonder if they're willing to part with this disciple. The old woman chuckled lightly, calling a disciple at the cave entrance. Prepare the carriage, we're going to Yanchu Immortal Dynasty. Master, what are you going to do in Yanchu Immortal Dynasty? An elderly man over 50 respectfully and curiously asked. That little girl is great, I'm going to ask for her to join me. The old woman laughed. Upon hearing this, many who came to apprentice at the sword arena were shocked, looking enviously at the sky. Unexpectedly, the reclusive ruins realm Earth Mother is coming out to accept a disciple. It's your turn. Outside the Emperor platform, the Great Dream Master and others looked at Li Hao. This was the 17th group battle, with Li Hao facing a disciple from a certain faction in the Red Border Immortal Dynasty. The opponent, though not of the Imperial family, belonged to the Heavenly Battle Clan. In today's True Realm 100 races, the Heavenly Battle Clan is ranked 10th, with an abundance of clan geniuses like stars in the sky. Haotian, the strongest innate secret method of the Heavenly Battle Clan is the Heavenly Battle 8 Wildernesses, capable of momentarily increasing one's power eightfold, but after it ends it damages cultivation, leaving one extremely weak, easily slaughtered. The Great Dream Master quickly briefed Li Hao about the opponent's technique. I don't know which level that person has cultivated to. With true immortal realm cultivation, at most 5 levels you must be cautious. Li Hao nodded slightly, gracefully stepping onto the Emperor platform. Soon, a young man in a white and gold robe with fierce eyes flew onto the stage. He stared at Li Hao, not showing contempt, but rather looking particularly serious. Having reviewed Li Hao's past performance in the true immortal secret realm, and hearing how Li Hao had just dominated an Emperor platform, made him take note. Don't blame me for using the powerful against the weak. Zhang Yuchen spoke solemnly. Li Hao nodded, please. The two simultaneously exploded with immortal power, but Li Hao's steadily and progressively, the extreme realm power revealed layer by layer, his Dharma aspect standing tall behind him. Let me experience your space-time Dao. Zhang Yuchen shouted. A domineering Dharma aspect appeared behind him, bursting with silver light, emitting intense battle intent, charging towards Li Hao. Li Hao raised his hand, sword qi condensed in his palm. As the opponent wished, the power of space-time merged into Qing Tian swordsmanship. Space-time, triple Qing Tian. The past and future overlapped at the moment of the strike, merging three swords into one, instantly slicing through the void of the Emperor platform, causing Zhan Yuchen's long black hair to fly upwards. 10 Chapter 1469 Chapter 359 Li Hao's Fist. What a powerful sword intent. Isn't he using fists? How can his sword Dao be just as formidable as the previous fist skill? Is he using fists or a sword? Earlier in the true immortal secret realm, his swordsmanship was extraordinary. When Li Hao raised his hand and slashed with his sword, the crowd outside the Emperor platform exclaimed in surprise, discussing fervently. The overwhelming sword intent reflected in the southern domain. Just seeing it with the naked eye felt like it was tearing apart, with a stabbing sensation. That indomitable sword intent pierced straight into the soul, as if it could split the sea of consciousness. Just watching the battle conveyed such a profound feeling. One can hardly imagine what it would be like to face this sword intent directly. Boom! Is it a sword? You still want to use your fist? Is this your real killing move? Zhan Yuchen's eyes sparked with intense battle intent, dark silver light condensed on his fists. After the scramble for the Emperor platform ended, he drew his opponent, learned it was Hao Yan, and his master had extracted Li Hao's performance on the Emperor platform from time and showed it to him. He was quite impressed by this monster with the shortest soul life, but initially didn't regard him as an opponent. Soul life only indicated monstrous talent, not necessarily how much of a stir he could cause in this southern domain battle. But in the Emperor platform struggle, Li Hao's invincible fist intent surprised and excited him. Among the many talents on this Emperor platform, fist practitioners are rare, and he didn't expect to encounter a fellow fist practitioner, which made him anticipate the fight tremendously. But as it turned out, Li Hao presented a sword Dao that was no less than his previous fist skill. Break! Silver light appeared on Zhan Yuchen's forehead, unleashing a special secret technique of the Heavenly Battle Clan. His immortal power surged. As the overwhelming phantom of a fist came crashing down, Li Hao's third-level space-time sword qi cleaved up to meet it head-on. With a loud bang, a violent shock and humming reverberated across the Emperor platform, as if two meteors had collided. The terrifying impact split open, and the void slightly distorted. Li Hao's swordsmanship dissipated, creating a breach against the fist force, and the space-time power was disrupted. Meanwhile, Zhan Yuchen's fist shadow also dissipated, with the remaining force rushing into Li Hao's eternal Dao domain and annihilated by the space-time power within the domain. This initial clash, both sides were nearly evenly matched, neither gaining the upper hand. Good, exhilarating. Zhan Yuchen's eyes glowed, and his immortal power suddenly surged, with silver light appearing on his forehead, revealing a faint trace of a 9-flower immortal seal. 9-flower immortal seal, another 9-flower immortal seal. Oh my, how many 9-flower immortal sealers is this already? No worries, Hao Yan already defeated a 9-flower immortal seal during the previous scramble for the Emperor platform. He must be one too. It's different. This is the Heavenly Battle Clan. A 9-flower immortal seal from the Heavenly Battle Clan is undoubtedly the best of the best. Countless people were delighted to see the immortal seal on Zhan Yuchen's forehead, with his aura continuously rising, reaching unimaginable levels even for the true immortal realm. At this moment, Zhan Yuchen's dominance couldn't be suppressed even by a lower-level immortal monarch realm. Again. Zhan Yuchen roared lowly, with terrifying fluctuations rippling between his fists. The surrounding void trembled with the formidable power concentrated in his hands. Li Hao's eyes showed a hint of seriousness. Although the opponent had displayed the 9-flower immortal seal, it was very restrained, not revealing which 9 paths comprised the 9 flowers, still holding back some cards. Nonetheless, in the previous sword qi duel, Li Hao could sense the opponent also mastered the space Dao, and with a high realm. Now he too released immortal power in his body, as the dense fog-like immortal power quickly unleashed, revealing the extreme realm power, with a Dharma aspect manifesting behind him. Subsequently, the trace of a 9-flower immortal seal slowly appeared on his forehead. However, like the opponent, Li Hao didn't release all his strength, only borrowing part of the immortal seal's power. Even so, the immortal power unleashed by the 9-order 9-flower immortal seal was already immensely overwhelming. In a flash, Li Hao's aura rose, surpassing Zhan Yuchen. As expected, Hao Qian also possesses a 9-flower immortal seal. They are both top talents. For a contest among the top 100 to be so intense, what would the scene be like for the top 10 or the final winner? The crowd outside the Emperor platform was elated, not surprised by Li Hao's immortal seal. Given the overwhelming aura he showed during the Emperor platform struggle, not having a 9-flower immortal seal would have been shocking. Noticing Li Hao's immortal power aura surpassing his own, Zhang Yuchen's expression slightly changed. Although he hadn't released the full power of the 9-flower immortal seal, neither had his opponent. He took a deep breath. A crack appeared on his forehead. It was the Heavenly Battle Clan's Heavenly Battle Emperor pattern, inherited from an ancestor, the Heavenly Battle Immortal Emperor. When the bloodline is pure enough, it promises to activate the Emperor pattern, even enhancing battle intent in the true immortal realm. Instantly, his aura became even more terrifying, with a magnificent Dharma aspect standing between heaven and earth. Despite being only in the true immortal realm, it seemed capable of grasping the universe, looking down on everything. Then let's get serious. Activating the Heavenly Battle Emperor pattern, Zhang Yuchen charged at Li Hao with a roar. He traversed the returning ruins, closing in on Li Hao with the thunderous speed of the Heavenly Battle Body technique. His figure surged like a Kunpeng, with an unstoppable force undetectable within the returning ruins' extreme realm, appearing in Li Hao's Eternal Dao domain. However, upon entering the Eternal Dao domain, he immediately felt enveloped by dense space-time power. He could avoid the space origin by following the rule-bound power, but the chaotic timelines, repeatedly accelerating and jumping backward, created an intensely uncomfortable feeling, almost causing him to vomit blood. 11 Chapter 1470 Chapter 359 Li Hao's Fist. Is this the time origin? His eyes widened with anger. Under the repeated tearing of the time power, he infused all the immortal power into his immortal body. As the Heavenly Battle Immortal Body, it was not inferior to Li Hao's ancestor immortal body. He horizontally pushed with his immortal body, violently tearing through time reversal, and smashed a fist towards Li Hao's head. All of this happened in an instant, but it was already an intense contest between the two sides. Li Hao raised his head, waving his hands, and the third-level Azure Sky Sword Qi slashed out once again. Bang! The ever-victorious Azure Sky Sword Qi instantly split Zhang Yuchen's fist skill, carving a deep sword mark on his fist, visible to the bone. But the power of that punch was undiminished and directly smashed into Li Hao's head. With a bang, Li Hao's head exploded on the spot, but in an instant it regenerated again. For those who have mastered the undying extreme realm, a head explosion doesn't even count as a minor injury, especially when combined with the All-Heavens Star Vein. With a continuous supply of immortal power, it can regenerate to the maximum extent in an instant. However, for the outside world, this scene was extremely impactful. Zhang Yuchen had crossed into Li Hao's Dao domain, blowing up Li Hao's head with one punch, leaving countless people spectating in awe. The power of that punch seemed to pierce through the Emperor platform. So strong. As expected of the Heavenly Battle Clan, this is the quality content of one of the top 10 races in the true realm. Heavenly Battle Emperor pattern. I never thought I'd witness the reappearance of the Heavenly Battle Emperor pattern in my lifetime. While everyone was murmuring in shock, Zhang Yuchen had already withdrawn from Li Hao's Dao domain. His gaze was cold as he said, "Your sword Dao is strong but not strong enough." Li Hao actually nodded. "This sword is indeed as such." Seeing Li Hao's reaction, Zhang Yuchen paused, then coldly smiled. "Don't hold back, show all of your immortal seal power." Li Hao shook his head slightly. It wasn't to that extent, but indeed he should show some real skill now. "Again," he said calmly. Then, immortal power converged in his palm, and the Shuntian ancestor scripture's heavenly battle controlling skill operated. Back then, Elder Wang taught the Shuntian ancestor scripture. His body had the ancestor immortal body, and the controlling skill had the heavenly battle controlling skill. Both were top-notch techniques of the true immortal realm. With Li Hao's control Dao realm, he had cultivated the heavenly battle controlling skill to perfection, able to condense 9 paths of immortal power, each doubling its strength. At this moment, with the convergence of 5 paths of immortal power, the fluctuations of immortal power on his body increased several times again, instantly overshadowing Zhang Yuchen. Huh? Is this the heavenly battle controlling skill? Zhang Yuchen's eyes narrowed, recognizing Li Hao's immortal technique. Their Heavenly Battle clan also had this skill, but it was incomplete. This controlling skill involves two immortal emperors. Outsiders are unaware, but their Heavenly Battle clan knows that in the past, the Heavenly Battle Immortal Emperor and the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor were close friends, jointly creating two immortal techniques. One is the Heavenly Battle Secret Technique, and the other is this Heavenly Battle Controlling skill. The Heavenly Battle Immortal Emperor left the Heavenly Battle Secret Technique he created to his clan, and received half of the Heavenly Battle Controlling skill True Essence from the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor also obtained half of the Heavenly Battle Secret Technique. However, since Li Hao inherited the Heavenly Battle Controlling skill, there was no need to cultivate the Heavenly Battle Secret Technique. The amplification sources of the two secret techniques were similar and could not be stacked. You actually have the Heavenly Battle Controlling skill. Who are you? Zhang Yuchen looked at Li Hao with suspicion, but he quickly realized that now was not the time to discuss these matters. His eyes showed a fighting spirit, and he no longer held back, instantly unleashing the Heavenly Battle Secret Technique. Accompanied by a manifestation of immortal power, exotic beasts around him. Each exotic beast was a tangible representation of immortal power, capable of doubling the immortal power. In the blink of an eye, four exotic beasts appeared, causing the immortal power to increase fourfold. However, when he reached the level of 4 mythical creatures, he found that his own immortal power still couldn't catch up with Li Hao. His face changed slightly and he could only release his full power. With the emergence of the 5th exotic beast, his immortal power climbed another level, but it was only just able to approach Li Hao. 12-Sky-Splitting Fist. He suddenly raised his hand, revealing the space origin as it condensed into the fist. This punch was both violent and terribly sharp. Slash! Li Hao swung out his sword once again, but just before it was executed, he condensed another path of immortal power, increasing his strength to surpass his opponent. Zhang Yuchen noticed, but it was too late. He could only roar in anger, unleashing his bloodline power with a bang, charging into Li Hao's Dao domain. The two domains collided fiercely and finally, fist and sword collided, causing both to fly backwards. Li Hao retreated dozens of meters, quickly stabilizing his body. The power of the All-Heavens Star Vein quickly restored him to peak condition. But Zhang Yuchen flew back several hundred meters before stabilizing. His aura was somewhat disordered, but he quickly composed himself. Break! Zhang Yuchen's eyes revealed intense fighting spirit, and his momentum rose again, revealing another secret technique. He swiftly advanced towards Li Hao again, this time directly using his bloodline power. The Heavenly Battle Emperor pattern on his forehead also shone with silver brilliance, doubling his power from its original base. If the increase was 5-fold before, now it was 10-fold. The massive fist momentum suppressed down, shattering even the Tao origin within Li Hao's Dao domain, unable to resist. With a bang, just as Li Hao swung out sword chi, it shattered, smashed against the ceiling array barrier. Zhang Yuchen's silver hair flew wildly as he walked coldly towards Li Hao. Your sword Dao is still not strong enough, inferior to your earlier fist skill. Show your real skill, otherwise you won't have another chance after the next punch. As he spoke, his entire aura continued to build rapidly. If he also mastered the All-Heavens Star Vein, he wouldn't even need to speak. A second seamless attack would have already struck. Hearing his words, Li Hao's eyes flickered slightly. His sword Dao and fist skill were both at the 11th rank, only his earlier fist skill integrated more power of the 9 orders. Want me to respond with fists? I'll fulfill that. Li Hao said. He withdrew the sword chi, instantly pushing the Heavenly Battle Controlling skill to the extreme. 9 paths of immortal power unraveled like chains from within, wrapping around his body, and his momentum soared to Zhang Yuchen's level. He clenched his fist, staring at his opponent, a strong invincible fist intent gathering. Feeling Li Hao's fist momentum, Zhang Yuchen's eyes revealed excitement. Finally he would show his real skills? Come on! He too clenched his fist, this time without holding back. The 9-flower immortal seal on his forehead completely revealed itself, radiating dazzling light, with 5 strands of 9 sequences origin aura, space, gold, wood, form and control. His quick recovery in successive clashes with Li Hao benefited from the wood Dao origin. His fists were so domineering due to the gold Dao and space. Form and control brought his immortal body and immortal technique to perfection. As the oppressive aura spread, the heaven and earth Dharma aspect behind him ignited with golden flames on its fists, a manifestation of immortal power condensed to the extreme, appearing like burning flames. In this moment, Li Hao regarded him as a strategic opponent on a chessboard, respecting and taking him seriously. An invisible ripple gathered at his fist, but not on both fists, rather one hand. The half-step invincible fist emphasizes that imperfection is perfection. Like silent music. As Zhang Yuchen noticed Li Hao's gaze, the blood of the heavenly battle within him seemed to ignite. He could tell his opponent was serious. This would be a decisive punch. In an instant, both sides had accumulated peak momentum, like two furnaces standing on either side of the Emperor platform, watched in silent awe by countless spectators outside the platform, eyes unwavering. Awe! With Zhang Yuchen's roar, his figure shot out like a silver meteor, and the Dharma aspect behind him seemed to merge with his body. Two golden fists descended from the sky with terrifying power, seemingly ready to smash through the entire Emperor platform. Li Hao stood firmly on the platform, one foot slowly shifting back half a step. This half-step embodies the universe, the heavens, space-time, form, and control at its peak. All four Tao origins poured into this half-step and a single punch. Boom! Li Hao's fist swung out, like the moon rising over the sea, from bottom to top, aiming to penetrate the entire sky. Divine light scattered instantly like infinite flames, at the center of the impact emitting millions of golden strands. A black rift appeared at the point of collision. The void of the true realm is 100 times stronger than that of the fake realm, but at this moment it was torn open, revealing a void of annihilation. 13. Chapter 1471 Chapter 360, Sword Immortal True Intent. To think they can destroy the true realm space, the power of these two has reached the level of the immortal monarch realm. Outside the Emperor platform, dozens of prodigies from the immortal monarch realm group all watched the scene, many with solemn expressions. Even though they're immortal monarchs, they didn't expect that the prodigies from the true immortal realm group could barely contend with them. His fist. In the Dream 9 Abyss sect, everyone was stunned. They had seen Li Hao's display of power in the ancient immortal realm before, so this wasn't too surprising. However, coming from the Sword Abyss, Li Hao's fist skill was unexpectedly terrifying. Senior brother Haotian. Gu Yan was somewhat dazed. Although he saw Li Hao's fist during the earlier struggle for the Emperor platform, now it was 3 times stronger. He thought to himself that if he faced that fist intent, he would be defeated in an instant. Another being capable of defying the odds, and this is just the top 100 competition, yet it's already this intense. Both are expected to vie for the top 10 spots. Now that they've met early, it's naturally a fierce battle. Across the southern domain there was rampant discussion. There were many strong figures of the immortal monarch realm, and even these prodigies had enough presence for battle against them. With the ripple of annihilation spreading, a figure suddenly traversed through the cracks. Then, from that annihilation, a second punch was fiercely launched, piercing through layers of space-time, striking Zhang Yuchen, whose face was in discomfort. Zhang Yuchen's pupils shook, obviously not expecting such a violent clash of fist intent, and yet Li Hao could instantly unleash a second punch. He couldn't dodge, only watching helplessly as the punch fell, and his body immediately exploded, turning into a mist of blood. All of this happened in an instant, like a startling change, leaving countless people who were discussing in the stands instantly speechless and all stunned. Li Hao gazed at the blood mist before him, but did not strike again as there were still minute fragments of flesh left, enough for Zhang Yuchen to undergo blood rebirth. Though the Undying Extreme Realm's life-saving ability is formidable, the blood rebirth takes time, and this time is enough for Li Hao to kill him 1,000, even 10,000 times over. However, Li Hao did not continue pursuing. He merely looked quietly, waiting for the opponent's body to regenerate. Soon, a figure quickly coalesced from the blood mist. Zhang Yuchen's body recovered, but the pain of having his body shattered by that punch seemed to linger on his soul, giving him a tremble, while he also showed a complex look at the young man before him. His own strongest fist skill was unexpectedly defeated by the opponent, and yet the opponent didn't hit while he was down but didn't pursue the victory. He clenched his fists, then slowly relaxed, repeating several times until finally, he clenched his fists, but this time, he cupped his hands towards Li Hao and said softly, "I lost, I'll remember this favor." After speaking, he looked deeply at Li Hao, his face regaining confidence, and said with a spirited laugh, I hope you not only make it into the top 10 but also into the top 5, so it will prove that the one who defeated me is no nameless person. Li Hao was somewhat speechless. This guy was indeed confident, clearly placing himself in the top 10 by implication. Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty Dream 9 Abyss Sect, Li Hao Yen of the human race wins. The Immortal Guard commander's voice resounded, echoing through the sky from above the Emperor platform. Before the battle, Li Hao's prefix was introduced this way, but now it was said again. Countless people snapped out of their amazement, looking at the Emperor platform in shock. They did not expect that young man to actually win, defeating the prodigy of the Heavenly Battle Clan. Moreover, the boy's race was only human, not from the top 100 races of the True Realm. Among the top 100 races in the True Realm, more than half are humans, but humans are only their primordial bloodline. For instance, the Heavenly Battle Clan once were humans, but cultivation led to a mutation in their bloodline, especially after the birth of the Immortal Emperor. Their bloodline merged with the Heavenly Battle Path. They are human, yet not purely human. In the True Realm, humans have another name, primordial people, who do not have any bloodline reinforcement. Humans? The Immortal Guard commander said he's only human. How is that possible? Does he not have a bloodline, or did he not use it, so he's temporarily introduced like this? It must be so, otherwise how could a mere human without any bloodline have such strong means? But he indeed didn't display any bloodline power just now. Good heavens, he was still holding back. No wonder the Heavenly Battle Clan's loss was deserved. Many were discussing, incredibly astonished. Indeed, I did not misjudge him. In the crowd, Chu Yueli's eyes flickered, showing a bit of a smile. The opponent's performance exceeded her expectations, even more assertive than in the ancient immortal realm previously. Next to her, Chu Tianhuang and Boya Xuejian both smiled. This guy was indeed strong, and he was expected to make the top 10 of the true immortal group without accident. In this way, he had more hope of going to the primordial True Realm, while the Immortal Monarch Realm group needed to vie for the top 20 spots to get in. On the Emperor platform, Zhan Yuchen didn't linger, turning and flying back to his clansmen. Li Hao, seeing this, also flew down, landing in the Dream 9 Abyss Sect under everyone's gaze. You brat, weren't you practicing swordsmanship? How did your fist skill become so secretly strong as well? Old Man Li was the first to come up, speaking in amazement and joy. The great Dream Master smiled gently at Li Hao, saying, "Well done. It was tough." Li Hao heard the gratitude in her words, smiled and said, "As a sect disciple, it's my duty." Yushi's eyes sparkled, looking at Li Hao with a bit of envy. If she could have such strength without relying on bloodline power, the infamy of the disrupting clan could certainly be completely reversed in her hands. 14 Chapter 1472 Chapter 360 Sword Immortal True Intent Underscore 2. How does your fist skill compare to your sword Dao? Gu Yan walked over with a somewhat complex expression, asking in a low voice. Upon hearing his question, Lin Mingrong and the other disciples, including the two with indifferent eyes, Yinjing City and Meng Huayue, also looked at Li Hao with curiosity. As a disciple of the Sword Abyss, his fist skill being so formidable, he should have sought a master at the Fist Abyss earlier. Yet none of the Fist Abyss disciples made it, failing in the first two trials. My sword Dao is slightly stronger, Li Hao said casually without elaborating. Everyone's eyes showed an expression of as expected and got even more excited. So in this battle, Li Hao had much more strength in reserve, especially since his immortal seal power had yet to be fully displayed. I didn't expect the Heavenly Battle Clan to lose. I thought he would be a strong opponent for me and was looking forward to a showdown with him. Elsewhere, 7 or 8 disciples from the top 100 participants, eyes flickering, felt regret at Zhan Yuchen's defeat, but looked at Li Hao with newfound fighting spirit. To defeat Zhan Yuchen, the performance in that just-fought battle stunned and thrilled them. The Heavenly Battle Clan is truly in decline, for their prodigy to amount to just this much. Among the ancient god clan, Shen Wuji, surrounded by several clan members, cast a cold gaze toward the direction of the Heavenly Battle Clan, eyes filled with disdain. Once, when the Heavenly Battle Clan was at its peak, prodigies emerged one after another, dominating half an era. In those days, the clan's name echoed everywhere, with their prodigies renowned across the lands, leaving many tales. But now Zhan Yuchen's performance was only average in his eyes. Although surpassing most prodigies, he was still short of true top level. Since the fall of the Heavenly Battle Immortal Emperor, the Heavenly Battle clan's ranking in the top 10 of the True Realm has steadily dropped. Indeed, they are on the decline. Another youth in a black robe with green eyes lightly shook a folding fan, a faint smile on his lips. That guy with only 100-year soul life is truly a monster. A girl in a purple dress focused her gaze on Li Hao. Although Li Hao's performance in this battle was not yet a threat to her, to reach such an astonishing level within a mere 100-year soul life far exceeded her expectations. Who knows what realm he would reach once his soul life reached 1,000 years, probably being invincible in the immortal monarch realm by then. In that case, he is indeed the most monstrous of the Southern Domain's prodigies this time. Li Hao sensed many eyes on him, yet he paid no mind and quietly admired the battles ahead. Soon after he left the platform, new matches began and Li Hao observed. Not long after, he saw Di Linson also appear, but his opponent, after unleashing their strongest move which Di Linson easily defused, decided to concede. Di Linson, unburdened by a desire to kill, much like Li Hao, accepted the concession with calm and casually descended from the Emperor platform. Following that, Xin Wuji of the Ancient God clan also entered the fight, quickly turning his opponent into a mist of blood but refrained from total annihilation. One by one, prodigies stepped up, some engaged in fierce fights evenly matched, while others dominated, winning with ease. Among them, Li Hao saw several existences not inferior to Zhang Yuchen, at least 7 or 8. In this light, with Zhang Yuchen's strength, breaking into the top 10 would be challenging, barely making it into the top 15 at most. Moreover, the direct disciples of two Supremes, Sword Heart and Mingyu, also participated, but their moves were even more decisive, forcing their opponents to concede in one strike. Soon after, Gu Yan also entered the fight. His opponent was a disciple of the Heavenly Palace, yet not the direct disciple of a Supreme, seemingly just an ordinary disciple. Nevertheless, both sides were locked in intense combat, with Gu Yan's sword body erupting powerfully like an enraged lion, displaying an extremely terrifying sword intent. The Heavenly Palace disciples' means were mysterious, all top-level immortal techniques, deploying in succession and forcing Gu Yan into constant defense, barely defusing them. 15. That prodigy with the ancient sword immortal body has a strong sword Dao, but the integrated Taos are too few, insufficiently sharp. Too young and too immature, yet it also indicates a promising future. Equally young, that Hao Tian is genuinely tender, having comprehended the space-time Dao, both well cultivated. Many were discussing, noting that this battle was full of highlights, unlike some previous matches where victory was swiftly decided, leaving the audience unimpressed. In a faraway space, at a certain ordinary immortal dynasty in a large clan, here was a sword tomb, sword peak, shadows of swords everywhere, even the backs of elders' chairs in the clan were sword-shaped. It's that child. Though he's altered his appearance, name and even disguised his aura, he still showed a trace. That rebel actually went there, trying to gain fame in the Southern Domain to oppose the family? Humiliating, judging by this performance, he won't even make the top 10. Our ancient clan, boasting the strongest sword-based Taoist body in the world and the bloodline of the ancient sword immortal, isn't even comparable to those true realm 100 races, truly shameful. The young master is still young after all. Young? As young as that Hao Tian from the same lineage? If that child were my son, I wouldn't hesitate to teach him. On Sword Peak, many clan members were watching the battle. Although their clan disdained participating in this Southern Domain grand event, it was an excellent opportunity to understand the prodigies of other true Realm 100 races. The ancient Sword Immortal clan, situated in the middle among the 100 races, yet this wasn't their full display. If they rose at full speed, they were confident of breaking into the top 20, even touching the top 10. However, the top 10 races had deep foundations which they couldn't grasp. He's losing, barely made it into the top 100 with others' protection, and now he's lost, truly disgraceful. In the crowd, a towering middle-aged man's eyes turned cold, showing a trace of rage. Nearby, some clan members showed regret in their eyes, mixed with anger and concern. Knowing this, it would have been better if I had participated, at least making the top 10 would have been hopeful. A youth in the crowd said. As soon as he spoke, the noble lady beside him gently shook her head, saying, "Our clan isn't suitable to expose now, too many are eyeing our bloodline power. Once others reveal themselves, stepping into the top 10 and making their mark on the world will be the time. At that time it'll rely on you, my son." It's also good for that child to participate. Those true Realm 100 races, including the 7 emperors, should recognize his origin with their sharp eyes, possibly assuming our clan is like that too, which may cause them to overlook us. An elder said. Wait, it seems he revealed a hint just now. That ungrateful child went there, humph. Does he wish to gain fame in the southern domain to defy the family? Shameful, given this performance, making it to the top 10 isn't even possible. Our ancient clan, being the world's mightiest in sword Dao physique, with the bloodline of the ancient sword immortal, is outshone even by the true Realm 100 races, truly embarrassing. After all, the young master is still young. Humph, young? As young as that Hao Yen from the same lineage? Had that child been my son, I wouldn't have tutored him in such a way. On Sword Peak, many clan members were observing this battle. This Southern Domain Grand event was in their sights. It could allow them to highlight their family's name. Perhaps it was a good gamble. The ancient Sword Immortal clan, hovering around the middle of the 100 races, but it's not their entire display. If going all out, they are confident of rising into the top 20 or even touching the top 10. Yet, the heritage of the top 10 races is inscrutable, and they cannot grasp it. He's going to lose. He only made it into the top 100 by relying on others' protection, and now he's lost. That middle-aged man was stunned, his expression becoming complicated. Next to him, other family members showed regret in their eyes, with some displaying anger and worry. It's a shame we are not participating this time, but if I had joined, breaking into the top 10 would have been within reach. A young man within the crowd remarked. Just as he finished speaking, a noblewoman beside him gently shook her head, saying, Our family does not currently need to participate. If my son competes, he might make it to the top 10 and gain world recognition. Son, it'll be up to you then. It might actually be good that the child has joined the fight. Those true Realm 100 races, perhaps even the 7 emperors, might discern his lineage and think that's representative of us, and end up overlooking us. An elder spoke. But wait, he's revealing a trace of sword intent. The situation atop the Emperor platform changed dramatically as Gu Yen, who was previously at a disadvantage, suddenly emanated a silver, Lioli-like sword intent and abruptly attacked with the ferocity of a raging beast, piercing through the myriad immortal Tao secret techniques of that heavenly palace disciple, driving straight through the opponent's chest. Behind him, his Dharma aspect was somehow clad in a snowy white robe, advancing fiercely towards his opponent. The audience was astonished, not expecting the guy to understand the sword immortal intent. Keep in mind that even within the clan, those who comprehend sword immortal intent are the top prodigies, able to contend for the clan leader's position in the future. Sword immortal intent, he actually comprehended the sword immortal intent too? The middle-aged man was stunned, his expression turning complicated. The other clan members nearby showed surprise in their eyes, with some looking at him with a mix of envy and disbelief. They had always held themselves in high regard, showing disdain for numerous top family prodigies, yet only the comprehension of sword immortal intent warrants their genuine envy. Even Sword Heart in white in the distance slightly narrowed his eyes, a hint of seriousness showing in his eyes. It was unexpected that the boy, sharing his own bloodline, could also comprehend the sword immortal intent. This development marked his entry into the ranks of top prodigies, although he had only just set foot there in this grand event. Looks like your clan has produced another prodigy, said Mingyu, an azure-dressed woman, standing beside him. Sword Heart gave a slight nod indeed. To him, however, he seemed indifferent. To him, a prodigy was merely qualified enough to see his sword. His goal was the supreme, to surpass everything, to stand unrivaled in his era. 16. Chapter 1473 Chapter 361 Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. On the Emperor platform, Gu Yen turned defeat into victory and ranked among the top 50. With the announcement of the Immortal Guard commander, all the immortal dynasties in the southern domain were in an uproar. After all, the disciple defeated by the opponent was a disciple of that supreme. Though not a direct disciple, being under the tutelage of the supreme is not a simple matter. Moreover, Gu Yan's performance also elicited the admiration of countless true Immortal Realm individuals, especially the numerous sword cultivators in the southern domain, who all sincerely admired him. What is this Dream 9 Abyss sect? They are so powerful. If I remember correctly, this is the third person from their sect to rank in the top 50, right? The name of this sect sounds somewhat familiar. It seems I heard about it many years ago. As Gu Yan emerged victorious, all the immortal dynasties in the southern domain began discussing the Dream Nine Abyss sect, with some elders showing reminiscence in their eyes, recalling some dusty and forbidden past events. But separated by tens of thousands of years, no one dared to casually bring up that matter anymore. Dream Nine Abyss, our dynasty actually has such a strong sect. How come I never knew before? Unexpectedly, 3 sword Dao prodigies emerged, all ranking in the top 50, whereas the 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower only had 1 out of 2 disciples advance. In the Yan Chu Immortal Dynasty, many people were talking about it, inquiring about the Dream Nine Abyss sect everywhere. Meanwhile, within the sect's foundation, all the 9 abysses were in a frenzy, with countless disciples cheering excitedly, and some elders shedding tears of joy, never expecting that one day, the Dream Nine Abyss would once again become famous throughout the southern domain world. As Gu Yan descended from the Emperor platform, Li Taimu's old face was almost breaking into a grin as he went up to continuously applaud. Other elder and disciples of the abysses were also full of envy, since the Sword Abyss was considered one of the more declining lineages among the 9 abysses, and unexpectedly, this time it was they who upheld the glory of the entire sect. Gu Yan's eyes were indifferent. Since realizing the true intent of the Sword Immortal, a change had occurred within his heart, and he looked at everything with a sense of detachment. His heart also became more tranquil, leaving only an expansive sword intent that could pierce through everything and contain everything. He looked towards Li Hao, contemplating if he engaged in a showdown with Li Hao's previous fist skill. He felt he might stand a chance, yet was unsure of victory. However, that makes it all the more exciting. If everything in the world had absolute certainty, it would become dull and uninteresting. Thinking of this, a slight curve appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he said to Li Hao, "Senior brother, I am very much looking forward to witnessing your strongest sword Dao." Li Hao was slightly taken aback, seeing the pure gaze of this junior brother. He felt a familiar feeling in his heart, like when he was immersed in playing chess and fishing, where he was absorbed in passion, setting aside thoughts of victory or defeat. "I will." He smiled and said seriously. Gu Yan also smiled, not as indifferent as before, appearing casual and composed. An ancient sword immortal body this Dream Nine Abyss dares to accept. First it was the Chaos Clan, now it's the ancient sword immortal body Humph. This ancient sword immortal body didn't come to our sect. What a lack of vision. Could it be that their tribe is hiding in the territory of Yan and Chu? This youth's soul life, I remember, is just a few hundred years. Still very young. If he cultivates for another 500 years compared to others, he will surely be a dazzling existence. In the 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower, many elders looked gloomy, never expecting the Dream Nine Abyss to steal the show. Fortunately, in this Yan Chu Immortal Dynasty, many true Immortal Realm disciples from other heavenly sects also faced defeat, with not much chatter, leaving only the battles of the Immortal Monarch Realm group yet to unfold, and the top genius talents of various sects yet to make their appearance. As time progressed, the 50 group battles were gradually reaching their end. Other disciples from the Dream Nine Abyss sect weren't as lucky. Under Li Hao's protection, they entered the top 100, but in individual battles they were defeated by the Immortal Dynasty royal family or the top talents from major sects. However, even so, for the Great Dream Master and others, it was already an astonishing joy. Being in the top 50 with 3 from their sect surpasses many other heavenly sects, stealing the limelight. As the top 100 concluded, the 50 top spots were announced. The Immortal Guard commander stepped forward and announced loudly, "Rest for half a day, then the draw for the top 50 battles will take place. You may take this time to rest briefly." For the competing talents, wielding many extreme realm powers, as long as there's a moment to breathe, they can restore themselves to peak state. However, continuous fighting fatigues the mind, and half a day's rest is sufficient for recuperation. Within the sect, the Great Dream Master demarcated a domain, enclosing 3 separate barriers for Li Hao and others, allowing them secluded cultivation, without disturbance from others. Li Hao sat within the barrier, reflecting on his previous insights. With the breath of Heavenly Tao revealed, selecting the top 100, the Heavenly Tao is impartial, all things for the public. He possesses the 9 sequences origin, but what he uses most from it has always been the sword he held since childhood. Is this partiality? Although compared to playing chess, painting, fishing, etc., sword Dao is not his greatest passion, yet among many combat techniques, it remains his most familiar and favored. Yet partiality may not win, being almost invincible may be a kind of self-redemption? Li Hao's mind was hazy, filled with countless thoughts. He had mastered the 9-order Immortal Seal, yet he had not touched the legendary Tao Origin Immortal Seal. What is Dao Source? The root of the Great Tao, the 9 sequences encompass 10,000 Dao, their integration is the root of the Great Tao. But how to integrate is another problem. Who takes the lead, who supports? If it is to merge, there must be a primary and secondary. Or could it be that all are primary and all are auxiliary? Li Hao closed his eyes to concentrate, his thoughts faintly capturing a trace of spirit light. He suddenly thought about when he received the legacy of the heavenly calamity Immortal Emperor. The Emperor Hall required 2 things. The first was to find the 3 direct disciples of the Immortal Emperor in their current reincarnations and allow them to also be promoted to direct disciples. 17 Chapter 1474 Chapter 361 Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. The second is mastering the Tao Origin Immortal Seal. The 9-flower Immortal Seal he previously mastered could only earn him the status of a formal disciple. And the disciple of the Heavenly Palace whom Gu Yen defeated earlier was indeed the formal disciple of that supreme, with a status comparable to his. Li Hao still remembers that Elder Wang explained that the Immortal Emperor is the ultimate existence in the true realm, the end of cultivation. Without the qualification of the Tao Origin Immortal Seal, one cannot reach that level. However, after careful consideration, Li Hao felt that this statement wasn't entirely correct. After all, unless the immortal divine falls in battle, their lifespan is nearly immortal. True immortals can live up to 100,000 years. Of course, most true immortals rarely die of old age, because all cultivators have a heart of competition. When they become true immortals, they wish to become immortal lords, and once immortal lords, they desire to be crowned kings, stepping into the immortal king realm to dominate one region. Competition, however, brings calamity, venturing into forbidden lands for treasures, contending with others, or snatching cultivation resources, which after many instances, brings about deadly disasters. Still, these are considered unexpected demises. In the span of a long life, talent isn't as significant as imagined. Tianjiao can refine for 100 years to rival ordinary people for 1,000, while typical immortal divines can cultivate for 10,000 years to match Tianjiao's millennium. As long as one lives long enough, they ultimately become invincible. Perhaps even Elder Wang doesn't fully understand the Immortal Emperor realm, after all, he is merely at the Immortal King realm. Maybe the Immortal Emperor only accepts those with the Tao Origin Immortal Seal, or those possessing the 9-order Immortal Seal capable of becoming one for personal transmission, because the Tao Origin Immortal Seal is a prerequisite for becoming an Immortal Emperor, possessing an absolute causal relationship, rather than merely proving this qualification to cultivate to the end. After all, young Tianjiao fading into obscurity amid thousands of years is also common. Li Hao pondered deeply, thinking that if such a causal relationship exists, the other prerequisite for becoming an immortal emperor realm is comprehending the heavenly Dao Emperor Heart. Only when the Dao Heart reaches such a realm can one grasp the Emperor Dao. Thus, mastering the Tao Origin Immortal Seal is a prerequisite for the Emperor Dao, and the transformation of this Tao Origin Immortal Seal is likely akin to some Emperor realm state. In other words, the heavenly Dao he previously sensed being most akin to the Emperor Dao, implies he has already touched upon the threshold of the Tao Origin Immortal Seal. Using all kinds of rumors about the Immortal Emperor realm, Li Hao backtracked to the Tao Origin Immortal Seal, leading to some realizations in his heart. The fusion of the 9-order Immortal Seal relates to comprehending the heavenly Dao, and at the moment of fusion, perhaps, it's then that a glimpse of the Emperor realm can be touched, thus serving as a prerequisite for cultivating into an immortal emperor. While Li Hao was contemplating, the voice of the great Dream Master suddenly echoed. "Hao Yan, your battle is about to start." This voice was gentle in his ears, waking Li Hao from his thoughts without feeling intrusive. Yet these words still made Li Hao pause, and he couldn't help but open his eyes, looking ahead to see 50 golden phantoms standing in pairs in the air above the Emperor platform, having already completed the drawing. Li Hao, somewhat dazed, looked at the great Dream Master beside him and asked, "Has half a day already passed?" "It has long passed," Seeing you closing your eyes to rest, I hesitated to disturb you, so I didn't call you earlier. The Great Dream Master said, concerned about affecting Li Hao, and wouldn't easily call him unless he was about to go on stage. Li Hao was slightly surprised, not expecting that only after a moment of thought, so much time had passed outside, leaving him slightly dazed. At this moment, he scanned with his eyes and quickly saw his golden phantom standing together with another figure. The opponent was a tall, city-beautiful woman with an ethereal look in her eyes. Li Hao, searching for the golden phantom, could not spot where the woman was nearby. Your opponent is strong, a Tianjiao of the ghost tribe. The Great Dream Master, seeing Li Hao's scanning eyes, raised a hand to direct him. On the western mountain top, there stood a group of black-robed figures, 7 people together, 5 being elders with deep and restrained auras. Li Hao couldn't discern their cultivation realms, but from the feelings they emitted, he realized they were all immortal king realm, likely matching the Great Dream Master beside him. In the center of these 5 elders stood 2 women in black dresses, around 20, remarkably resembling each other. They were twin sisters. However, the 2 women's temperaments differed. After careful identification, Li Hao found that one was in the true immortal realm, while the other was in the immortal monarch realm. As he scrutinized, perhaps sensing the attentive gaze, the 2 women seemed perceptive, glancing over at Li Hao's side, and one of the elders followed Li Hao's line of sight. Your luck isn't great. The opponent also has the potential to vie for the top 10. The Great Dream Master said seriously, the Ghost Tribe, like the Heavenly Battle Clan, is a strong clan among the true Realm 100 races top 10, with an immortal emperor in residence. However, the Ghost Tribe doesn't belong to our southern domain. It's unclear why they came to the southern domain to compete this time, perhaps to appreciate the talent of our southern domain or to test the level of our Tianjiao. Li Hao paused, watching the opponent, and seeing them looking back, he did not avert his gaze, just slightly nodded. Miss, that young man is your opponent. His earlier performance was quite good, although he didn't show any bloodline power. If he's just a primordial human race, that's somewhat unlikely. It's just that the Heavenly Battle Clan didn't manage to draw out his power. Among the 7 from the Ghost Tribe, an elder whispered softly. Even though he was at the Immortal King realm, he was extremely respectful to the 2 women beside him, as their grandfather was one of the top powerhouses in the Ghost Tribe. Uncle Yen, judging by his earlier fighting techniques, which race do you think he might belong to? 18 Chapter 1475 Chapter 361 Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. The true immortal realm woman gently asked, nodding at the young man. She did not respond, having already withdrawn her gaze at this moment. This. The old man paused upon hearing, his face contemplative, saying, he has used the lost and sealed immortal technique Qing Tian many times before. This immortal technique was created by the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor in the past. But back then the immortal emperor passed it on to many great clans to enhance the strength of the true realm. However, those great clans no longer passed it down and instead used the new immortal technique created by that supreme during his leisure. Are you saying he is a disciple of that immortal emperor? The woman asked in surprise. The old man shook his head slightly, saying, unlikely. If that were the case, he wouldn't come here to compete after all. He didn't continue, instead saying, in my opinion his methods are somewhat like those of the Chaos Clan. His cultivation is complicated. The Chaos Clan inherently has a high affinity for the 10,000 Dao, mastering complex methods, yet capable of creating a unique system of secret techniques. Each prodigy has their own path, somewhat similar to him. Chaos Clan? Ghost Tribe woman's eyes flickered. Among the True Realm's 100 races top 10, her Ghost Tribe ranked 7th, while the Chaos Clan ranked 4th. In this light, it's not unjust that the Heavenly Battle Clan lost. However, not being able to force out his bloodline power is truly incompetent. I want to see if he can continue to hide this time. She softly spoke, her eyes filled with confidence. The Chaos Clan is not in the southern domain, but the eastern domain, teaming up with that Ancestor Dragon from Ancestor Dragon Court to suppress the eastern domain. They also appear here, possibly like us, to assess the quality of the southern domain's prodigies. The old man's eyes showed contemplation with a hint of doubt. That's just right, an opportunity to experience the Chaos Clan prodigy's methods. I just don't know if he is the strongest prodigy of the Chaos Clan, but considering his soul life and qualifications he should be. The ghost tribe woman's eyes flickered, then she chuckled lightly, saying, "But qualifications are qualifications. The road of cultivation is long. Some obstacles easily overcome by ordinary people can trap some extraordinary monsters for a lifetime, never to be surmounted. The world is indeed wondrous, and who can know who is destined to reach the end? At least in this Emperor platform battle it comes down to strength, who wins and who loses, standing at the end counts as the true prodigy." Hearing her words, the old man nodded, understanding this rationale. The young man's qualifications are indeed monstrous. Reaching such heights in a century is terrifying. Estimating based on his current cultivation speed, in 1,000 years he would be remarkable, potentially achieving invincibility in the immortal monarch realm. But that's an estimation predicated on the current speed of cultivation. Should he encounter a threshold or bottleneck, it becomes another matter entirely. Prodigies' bottlenecks vary. Some have formidable combat power but struggle with their Dao heart, while others have an incredibly strong Dao heart but are utterly incompetent in cultivation, slower than average people. The strong among the southern domain have already discerned my identity. Coming here, I must at least enter the top 5. If I am to lose, it can only be to that Emperor clan or those two Supremes' personal disciples. The ghost tribe woman's gaze swept over. So far, the only opponents she acknowledged were that Emperor clan youth and those two Supremes' personal disciples, whom she assessed having only a 10% chance of defeating. As for the others, she was unwilling to lose and did not expect to lose. If he truly is from the Chaos Clan, this battle, young lady, you might have to go all out. The old man reminded. The Chaos Clan, after all, is the 4th strongest tribe in the true realm, with an unimaginably deep and terrifying foundation. The ghost tribe woman nodded slightly and then quietly awaited the conclusion of the Emperor platform's battles. Before long, a round of 50 advancing to 25 concluded on the Emperor platform. Li Hao learned from the Great Dream Master that this was already the 2nd round, and his battle with the ghost tribe was scheduled for the 3rd. Yu Shi and Gu Yan were ranked 9th and 24th respectively. Their opponents, by comparison, were relatively ordinary. But having advanced to the top 50, they were no ordinary people. Yu Shi's opponent turned out to be that girl in the green dress, while Gu Yan's opponent was a prodigy from the Yuanzuan Immortal Dynasty's Heavenly Sect, also one of the True Realm's 100 races, but only ranking in the 30s. Even so, for Gu Yan it would be a hard-fought battle. Comparing their opponents' previous performances, the Great Dream Master believed Yu Shi had the best chance of advancing. Next was Li Hao, but the ghost tribe woman had not shown her full strength before, so the outcome was still uncertain. Soon the Emperor platform battles concluded, with results more intense and spectacular than the previous top 100 battles, one side even burning their immortal seal to fight, ultimately losing. "Good luck, do your best," the Great Dream Master said to Li Hao. Although previously the feeling was that Li Hao had a chance to advance to the top 10, the ghost tribe woman was formidable, also having a chance for the top 10. In a clash of titans, the outcome was hard to predict. Li Hao nodded. He bid farewell to Yu Shi and the others before ascending the Emperor platform. "Sister, I am going." The ghost tribe woman also rose, flying up to the Emperor platform. The woman beside her, similar in appearance but with a colder demeanor, showed no emotion in her eyes, responding indifferently to her younger sister's words. The ghost tribe woman was already accustomed to this, smiling and waving her hand before flying onto the Emperor platform. Once the two stood down, the sealing array barrier was activated. At this moment, the Immortal Guard commander began introducing their identities and backgrounds. Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty, Dream 9 Abyss Sect Disciple, Human Race Haotian, vs Red Border Immortal Dynasty, TUS Sect Disciple, Ghost Tribe Ghost Ling Yu. His voice was thunderous. Within the Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty, countless people knew the great name of the Ghost Tribe, but they had never heard of the TUS Sect. However, in this top 100, the Ghost Tribe's Ghost Ling Yu, carrying the name of the sect, had already made the sect famous throughout the Immortal Dynasty. 19 Chapter 1476 Chapter 361 Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. However, after some investigation, many discovered that the TUS sect was just an ordinary 4th-level Earth sect, unremarkable. And the Ghost Tribe originates from the Northern Domain. Undoubtedly, they seem to be using the sect's name to come to the Southern Domain to flaunt their prowess. So it's the Ghost Tribe. I've heard that their clan specializes in slaughter and focuses on the cultivation of the primordial spirit. That's right, during the ancient demon catastrophe, the great emperor of the Ghost Tribe personally went into battle, slaying many king realm existences among the ancient demons. It's said that among the immortal emperors, only 3 could suppress the ancient demon emperor. The primordial spirit of the Ghost Tribe is not at all weaker compared to the ancient demon clan. Over the past 100,000 years, it's said they've learned some techniques from the ancient demons, making their primordial spirits even more terrifying than the ancient demon clans. Why has the Ghost Tribe come to our southern domain? Do they not have their own trials in the northern domain? Of course they do, but it might be that the northern domain slots aren't enough, or they're here in the southern domain to showcase the strength of the Ghost Tribe. Outsiders, I hope that Li Hao can defeat her. I'm afraid that's difficult. That young girl hasn't used her full strength in previous battles and has held back a lot. This battle is likely to be an epic duel. In various immortal dynasties, many sect powerhouses are observing this battle. After all, neither Li Hao nor Ghost Lingyu of the Ghost Tribe can be considered ordinary true immortals. Within a few hundred years, both could become prominent figures in the 5th level of the immortal monarch realm. In the Yanchu immortal dynasty, many are anxiously sweating for Li Hao, their hearts in suspense. If not for the Heavenly Dao's selection which cannot be faked, they would suspect Li Hao is being targeted. First, facing the Heavenly Battle clan among the top 10 of the 100 races, and now the Ghost Tribe, all are top contenders. At this moment on the Emperor platform, Ghost Lingyu's face is as cold as ice. Except for her sister, she is indifferent to everyone else, lacking any affability. In this battle, if you don't use your Chaos Clan bloodline, winning won't be so easy. Ghost Lingyu said coldly. Upon hearing this, Li Hao had a question mark appear on his forehead. Chaos Clan? What the heck? Seeing Li Hao's puzzled expression, Ghost Lingyu raised an eyebrow, but she felt Li Hao was trying to continue feigning ignorance. Her mouth curled into a cold smile and her eyes grew even colder. She was no fool like Zhang Yuchen. She said no more. Her entire body exuded a dense dark ghost aura, like black smoke pouring forth, engulfing her form. As her aura manifested, the entire Emperor platform seemed to grow cold, exuding a sinister feeling. Having witnessed Li Hao's fight with Zhang Yuchen, she knew defeating Li Hao wouldn't be easy and that she needed to employ her genuine abilities. As her extreme realm power was revealed, her bloodline aura was also exposed at this moment. 9 flower immortal seals appeared on her forehead, but unlike others' silver immortal seals, hers were black. This was also a unique hallmark of the Ghost Tribe, pure black immortal seals, with 9 patterns representing the Tao origin, exquisite and mysterious. As Ghost Lingyu's aura continued to ascend, the strong pressure of the Ghost Tribe enveloped the Emperor platform, and Li Hao's gaze also grew solemn. Indeed, the heroes of the southern domain were not simple. Her momentum was even stronger than Zhang Yuchen's by a fair margin. You must win. Below the Emperor platform, Zhang Yuchen watched the scene, silently murmuring a prayer. If Li Hao loses to this Ghost Tribe girl, wouldn't that mean their Heavenly Battle clan lost to the Ghost Tribe? That would be somewhat disgraceful. Whoosh! Ghost Lingyu, shrouded in ghostly mist, suddenly flickered and instantly charged at Li Hao. Her form crossed the returning ruin's extreme realm, appearing as a specter within Li Hao's shadow, launching an attack directly. This speed surpassed the returning ruin instantaneous movement, seeming like some kind of curse, directly affecting Li Hao, a top movement technique of the Ghost Tribe, Ghost Reflection Moon. This movement technique is also one of the top 10 pinnacle movement techniques of the True Realm, ranking in the top 3. Li Hao's expression changed slightly as he had no time to react. It was too fast. Bam! A hand seal struck his back, and Li Hao felt that soft palm contained the force of severing rivers, breaking his spine, sending him flying forward. He crashed to the ground, his spine aching, but not with a fiery pain, rather a cold power seeped into his body. Within that force lay a terrifying divine soul power. The opponent's attack contained primordial spirit energy. Li Hao was somewhat astonished, but his own primordial spirit instantly responded, eradicating that force. His eternal Dao domain quickly stood up, simultaneously deploying a celestial technique, 10,000 Shadows, which is also one of the 10 immortal techniques. In the heritage of the Emperor Hall, except for the Azure Sky, Li Hao had memorized all other immortal techniques, and with the 9-order Dao reaching the 4th layer, these immortal techniques had long automatically advanced to the perfection level. 10,000 shadows, as the name implies, in an instant, 10,000 silhouettes appeared on the Emperor platform, all of them being Li Hao. These shadows weren't mere afterimages, each was more akin to a clone, each possessing a third of Li Hao's true power. A third? How terrifying is that? If it were purely additive, 10,000 times 0.3 equals 3,000 times. But in actual combat, especially facing powerhouses or those of the same realm, such calculations don't apply. For instance, if Li Hao's true form can barely contend with the 5th level of Immortal Monarch Realm, even a third of his power might not pose a threat to the 5th level of Immortal Monarch Realm. As a result, even with 10,000 clones and a numbers strategy, it's difficult to break the defense of the 5th level of Immortal Monarch Realm, as the power level is below that of the opponent. 20 Chapter 1477 Chapter 361 Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. But if facing someone with a lower realm than Li Hao, it would be an existence that can be instantly killed in one move. It would transform into 10,000 avatars, causing terrifying destruction on the battlefield, and could be described as a one-man army. This is also one of the reasons why this immortal technique can become one of the 10 great immortal arts. However, when facing someone of the same realm, although it cannot achieve the terrifying effect of a 3,000-fold multiplication, the myriad avatars can coordinate if a secret technique to collaborate is mastered, achieving an extremely exaggerated effect. It can be said that although this immortal technique is one of the 10 great immortal arts, it is even stronger than the Azure Sky, ranking among the top of the 10 great immortal arts. However, in terms of speed alone, it does not match Ghost Moon Shadow in movement technique. Myriad Shadow Movement? Another one of the 10 great immortal arts, and it's the extremely difficult to cultivate Myriad Shadow, a movement technique that requires both Form Dao and Control Dao to reach a certain realm to master. Wasn't this technique lost to history? How is it still around? As Li Hao's figures densely filled the Emperor platform, countless people were shocked. Since the beginning of the battle, although Li Hao had displayed the sword Dao and fist skill, his movement technique appeared average, only his attacks being fierce. Who would have thought he would reveal such a terrifying movement technique at this moment? Ghost Ling Yu did not expect that Li Hao had mastered Myriad Shadow. Moreover, the ghost corrosion she had attached when she struck Li Hao earlier, in her perception, had been wiped away. This is a secret technique of the Ghost Tribe, and it has a tremendously lethal effect on the primordial spirit. How can this be? Ghost Ling Yu showed a hint of astonishment in her eyes. Could it be that the opponent's primordial spirit power exceeds hers? Beyond this reason, she couldn't think of any other method that could instantly break ghost corrosion. But in her moment of distraction, Li Hao, who had cast Myriad Shadow, already began his counterattack. Although he had not mastered many military formations at this moment, with Myriad Shadow in effect, he directly controlled his avatars, all of which exhibited the eternal Dao domain. The Dao domains overlapped layer by layer, unable to achieve true substantial fusion, and the power increase was similar to stacking 1,000 layers of glass, which would still break when dropped, but his purpose in stacking was not the Dao domain itself, but the space-time power within the Dao domain. Time stop. Li Hao's eyes turned cold, employing the power of the Time Dao. Time stop, time reversal, and time acceleration are all conventional methods of the Time Dao. Even those at the Saint Realm in the True Realm have long known these methods, but knowing is one thing, resistance and breaking them are another. Just like a wild beast knows the stars, it can never climb up to them. At this moment, the power of time in the Dao domain converged with overlays. Each shadow could barely make reality pause for an instant, and when the 10,000 shadows added up, this instant became extremely prolonged. This is the power of the Myriad Shadow coordinating with the Time Dao. As he executed it, the all-heavens star vein behind him lit up as if it were substantial. Though the Myriad Shadow movement technique was powerful, its consumption of immortal power was like a monstrous flood, requiring a decisive victory in an ordinary true immortal duel after one execution. Otherwise, it was difficult to maintain a long-term battle ability. But upon mastering the all-heavens star vein, the true terror of this movement technique was revealed. The raging immortal power surged forth, aligned with the 9-fold augmentation of the battle heaven control skills. Everyone saw the immortal power coursing through that youth's body, as vast and unimaginable as an ocean. Even the brief moment's amount was enough to make many at the immortal monarch realm sweat with embarrassment. And as Li Hao whispered, the time within the entire Emperor platform froze at that moment. Within the Ghost Tribe, the faces of 5 elders changed slightly. The Ghost Tribe woman, cold as frost, Ghost Ling Yu's sister, at this point, her icy face also showed a subtle change, a trace of cold light flashing in her eyes. On the Emperor platform, as absolute stillness prevailed, Li Hao stepped forward, rushing towards Ghost Ling Yu. At this moment, Ghost Ling Yu's body was rigid in midair, unable to move, but her thoughts could barely turn. Upon realizing her body couldn't move, she was somewhat horrified and quickly unleashed the Time Origin. Indeed, she also mastered the Time Dao Origin and reached the 3rd realm. But the difference between the 3rd and 4th level is a world apart. Moreover, at this moment, Li Hao's myriad shadow compounded his time stop. Even if she resisted with all her might, greatly reducing the time of this stop, it was still ample time for Li Hao to kill her several dozen times over. Boom! Li Hao didn't hold back, stepping forward, raising his fist and blowing Ghost Ling Yu's head to pieces, along with her body, into a mist of blood. Seeing this scene, countless people clicked their tongues. This was too brutal. Though Ghost Ling Yu belonged to the Ghost Tribe, her cold white skin and superbly cold beauty ensnared countless people, yet Li Hao could be so merciless, causing many to be simultaneously shocked and sighing. With her body exploded into blood mist, everyone knew that this battle had ended. It was expected to be a fierce struggle, but who could have thought it would be a one-sided crush? Even the prodigy of the Ghost Tribe, ranked 7th among the 100 races, appeared utterly powerless before the Time Dao Origin. As everyone marveled at the dominance of the Time Dao, suddenly, within the blood mist of Ghost Ling Yu's shattered body, a jet-black ghost shadow suddenly emerged, moving unhindered within the time-stopped space, assaulting Li Hao. Seeing clearly that ghostly shadow, Li Hao recognized it as Ghost Ling Yu. Only this time it was her primordial spirit, and her primordial spirit was jet black, like a true specter, with black light shadows that appeared even darker and profound within the black ghost shadow. What? How can it be? Everyone witnessing this scene widened their eyes in disbelief. 21. Chapter 1478. Chapter 361. Primordial Spirit Revealed, Lifted with Ease. At this moment, the blood mist on the Emperor platform remained in a solidified state, yet the ghostly figure could move and directly appeared within Li Hao's shadow, entangling him to kill. Ghost Tribe Secret Technique, Ghost and God Unity. Many strong ones at the Immortal King realm stared with slightly narrowed eyes. The Great Dream Master and Old Man Li, along with the elders in the sect, all had slightly changed expressions, looking gravely serious. This domineering and terrifying time freeze could almost suppress 90% of the top monsters. In their eyes, this was nearly Li Hao's ace, his most lethal move, far more terrifying and overbearing than his previous fist skill. But unexpectedly, the Ghost Tribe managed to break free, and the reason for this escape was the ghostly secret technique, transferring all power into their primordial spirit, and the primordial spirit of the Ghost Tribe was exceptionally special and formidable, nurtured by a special secret technique, currently not constrained by time. Li Hao didn't anticipate that the opponent would still have the capability to act under the time freeze. Time suppression didn't work? Li Hao was perplexed. This couldn't be possible. Nothing could transcend time, unless it was fate. Soon Li Hao realized the reason. The opponent's primordial spirit was too strong, beyond the level that his current time origin could suppress. This primordial spirit power could cross through time, finding space to maneuver in the gaps of time's rules. In an instant, Li Hao's body was entangled by the opponent, hugged tightly from behind like an octopus. Li Hao could feel the opponent's primordial spirit was soft but extremely cold, like a piece of ice. Meanwhile, he could also feel the terrifying nature of that primordial spirit, continuously eroding towards his body, seemingly attempting to infiltrate his immortal body, squeezing out his own primordial spirit. Forcing me to this extent, you're not wronged in losing. Ghost Ling Yu's voice was hoarse, sinisterly whispering in Li Hao's ear, compared to the previously indifferent voice, now carrying a ghostly allure. Li Hao's gaze turned cold. This is what he should have said. Initially believing that the time shadow movement technique combined with time stacking was enough to crush these 100 races' fierce opponents, even to the extent that, except for a few, he thought he could use this move to kill them all. Yet unexpectedly he now had to force out other means. Primordial spirit, yours is strong but still not strong enough. Li Hao's voice came out, but not from his mouth, it was his primordial spirit speaking. Li Hao's primordial spirit suddenly revealed the upper half of his body from above his head, emitting dazzling golden light, like a shining and inviolable heavenly god. The golden divine rays shot out from the primordial spirit, exuding a terrifying divine soul power. What shocked everyone the most was that within the primordial spirit's body, there were countless shining objects. They were not golden veins but golden bones. One by one, countless. Just with half the body it was so much, one couldn't imagine the degree of the whole body. At this moment, Li Hao's primordial spirit exposed half on top of his head, indifferently looking down at the entangled ghost Ling Yu's primordial spirit. Ghost Ling Yu also raised her head, locking eyes with Li Hao's primordial spirit, though her expression was now slightly stunned. That overlooking gaze appeared as if it were that of an inviolable deity. She seemed a bit lost. How could it be? In the next moment, Li Hao's primordial spirit raised his hand, as if picking up a chick, and tore her primordial spirit from his body. Yes, it was indeed tearing, just as if it were removing a piece of dogskin plaster stuck on oneself. The previously tightly attached ghost Ling Yu's primordial spirit now, shockingly, seemed like a weak and powerless chick, without any room for struggle, was pulled off by Li Hao's primordial spirit. Having consumed countless ancient demons, Li Hao's golden bone of primordial spirit had already solidified to over 500 pieces, whereas other geniuses he had battled before had mostly broken through the primordial spirit extreme realm, yet the majority were still at the golden veins level. Achieving even one golden bone was few and far between. Before him, Ghost Ling Yu, as a genius of the ghost tribe, possessed that darkly glowing substance within her body, which was her primordial spirit's golden bone, but Li Hao could immediately tell at a glance that her number was far less than his, only a mere 40 to 50 pieces, less than 1/10 of his. Even so, this degree was extremely exaggerated, in terms of sheer primordial spirit strength, comparable to the 4th and 5th layer of the immortal monarch realm. Yet, unfortunately, Li Hao's primordial spirit power, even within the immortal monarch realm, was considered extremely powerful. You! Ghost Ling Yu came to her senses, trying to struggle, but found Li Hao's hands kneading, compressing her primordial spirit instantly into a sphere. Her voice was also distorted by the compression, forced into a painful scream. I'll spare your life, giving you the chance to admit defeat. After forming the sphere, Li Hao calmly said. Ghost Ling Yu was now feeling terrified. As a member of the Ghost Tribe, among the true realm's 100 races, they were acknowledged as the race with the strongest primordial spirit. Even the Emperor clan couldn't compete with them in terms of the primordial spirit, yet now she was crushed in the primordial spirit aspect by someone of the same realm. Clearly, she was the one of the Ghost Tribe, but she felt as though she witnessed a ghost. This was too unbelievable. I admit defeat. Her voice trembled, her primordial spirit being compressed. The pain acted on the soul beyond endurance. She understood that if she didn't concede in time, should the opponent crush her primordial spirit, this life's cultivation would have been wasted. Keep in mind, although she could carry memories to reincarnate and rebuild, the resources required for cultivation would be a waste. Reaching her level took considerable resources from her tribe, and cultivating again would mean another massive consumption and a waste of time. For these prodigies, there's no concept of rebuilding a life to become stronger than the previous one. After all, the opportunities available had already been seized. There would be no chances to go wrong. Everything would be supervised by the tribe, choosing the best path, rarely any accidents requiring rebuilding. Upon hearing the opponent conceding defeat, Li Hao immediately swept his hand, tossing out the sphere formed of Ghost Ling Yu, meanwhile, retracting the myriad shadow immortal technique, disappearing one by one, and the suppressed space-time resumed its flow. The blood mist floating mid-air began to spread out. But soon the blood mist gathered again, quickly reforming into Ghost Ling Yu's shape. Her primordial spirit also painfully expanded, heavily injured, retreating back into her flesh, looking at Li Hao with a face of terror, as if seeing a ghost. This all ended in the blink of an eye. Besides Ghost Ling Yu on the Emperor platform, countless others were rendered speechless. Down the platform at various mountain peaks, eyes that were either calm or indifferent previously, now sharply impacted. 22 Chapter 1479 Chapter 362 Once in 100,000 Years. In this battle, Li Hao displayed a movement technique immortal technique, paired with the time origin of the eternal Dao domain, allowing countless people to witness Li Hao's methods. Especially when he defeated Ghost Ling Yu's primordial spirit in the end. Its strength could suppress the same realm Ghost Tribe prodigy, making it truly terrifying. This means fighting Li Hao can only be done through physical prowess and immortal technique combat, almost having no chance in the primordial spirit aspect. The young lady actually lost. Such a strong primordial spirit, that kid broke through the primordial spirit extreme realm and even cultivated the primordial spirit golden bone to such an extent. When he reaches the immortal monarch realm, he might be able to refine the primordial spirit true blood. His bloodline power is not yet activated. When did the Chaos Clan have such a monster? Among the Ghost Tribe, 5 elders all showed expressions of surprise. They are in the Immortal King realm, here to protect 2 Ghost Tribe prodigies competing, but at this moment were also shocked by Li Hao's primordial spirit. Such strength even could compete with Ghost Ling Shuang beside them. Beside them, Ghost Ling Shuang's calm and cold eyes suddenly narrowed, flickering with sharp murderous intent and chill as her sister was crushed into a ball. She stared at the young man on stage. The opponent's primordial spirit had already contracted back into his body. Previously, even half of the revealed primordial spirit power easily suppressed her sister. Not even Ghost Tribe secret techniques that enhance the primordial spirit were effective. This was because only half was revealed, leaving her unable to perceive the true strength of the opponent's primordial spirit. At this moment on the Emperor platform, the Immortal Guard commander announced the victory and defeat of this battle. When the news of Li Hao's victory was heard, the entire scene snapped back to reality, bursting into an uproar. No one expected the battle against the famous Ghost Tribe would end so quickly, even ultimately it seemed like an overpowering situation. In this battle, Li Hao didn't use the previous fist skill but solely relied on movement technique and time origin to showcase even more terrifying methods than before. This move seemed currently undefeatable. Did I not make a mistake seeing this? The Ghost Tribe being suppressed in the primordial spirit aspect is too terrifying. What kind of clan is Hao Yin truly? I'd even believe if someone said he's from the Emperor clan. Too exaggerated, the Ghost Tribe crossed vast domains supposedly to make a name in our southern domain, only to be suppressed instead. Both the Heavenly Battle clan and Ghost Tribe have been defeated. This Hao Yin must enter the top 10, maybe even the top 5. That time overlapping from thousands of shadows, who can break it? Countless discussions arose, all struck with awe. Many in the immortal monarch realm had keener insights, but even they felt that in the true immortal realm, solely with this move from Li Hao, he was almost invincible. If he further displayed overlapping primordial spirit, the power would be even greater, and there would be few capable of defeating him. This is truly impressive talent. In the distance, Mingyu in green clothes stood among disciples of the Heavenly Palace, her transcendent and elegant posture gaining much attention. Compared to the shock and solemnity of others, her face showed surprise, followed by a deep interest. Calculating soul life, she found that even they couldn't compare to that guy within a mere 100 years. But unfortunately this time the soul life limit is set within 3,000 years, judged solely by combat power. Indeed impressive. Beside her, Sword Heart nodded, acknowledging that young man's monstrous talent. The Ghost Tribe relies too heavily on the primordial spirit. Other techniques are somewhat average, commented Mingyu. Sword Heart didn't quite agree, only finding Ghost Inyu's movement technique somewhat remarkable, but they had many solutions for it. Even the Ghost Tribe couldn't stop him? Among the crowd, a girl in a green dress looked slightly pale. Previously at Wenda Mountain she deceived him, tricking him out of his spot. Although he eventually reached the top, unaffected, she didn't believe he wouldn't hold a grudge. It's okay being able to rank in the top 50, you're already amazing, you won't have a chance to meet this guy, said a fellow sect youth in a stern voice beside her. He was in the immortal monarch realm but even then felt the terror of that young man. If the opponent was in the same realm, he would definitely be a difficult adversary. Luckily, within the 3,000 years of soul life, unless the Supreme sought fairness by dividing immortal monarch and true immortal into 2 groups, he could suppress the opponent with his realm. A prodigy might defeat opponents across realms, but they overturn the ordinary's realms. Fighting against other prodigies leaves almost no chance for overturning the realm. Hearing the words of comfort from her senior brother, the girl in the green dress exhaled slightly. then cast her gaze toward her opponent, revealing a trace of relaxation, saying, "Although the Chaos Clan is strong, fundamentally they lucked into the top 100. Thanks to such easy targets, I have a chance to continue advancing into the top 25. Her opponent was Great Dream 9 Abyss Moon Shi. At this moment on the Emperor platform, Ghost Ling Yu came around. Her expression was immensely complex, lacking the arrogance before stepping onto the stage. This defeat in battle was unexpected. What made her feel most humiliated was failing to force out Li Hao's bloodline power. "Hao Yan, is that your true name?" She slightly bit down on her silver teeth, staring at the opposite side and said. Li Hao was somewhat puzzled. Coming to the southern domain to make a name, isn't that his true name? "Is your name fake?" Li Hao curiously responded. Ghost Ling Yu saw the misunderstanding and shook her head. "Of course not." After speaking, she stared deeply at Li Hao, said nothing more, and turned to fly off the stage, silently memorizing the opponent's name. Returning to the ghost tribe below the stage, seeing her sister's cold gaze, she knew her elder sister looked seemingly indifferent, but their sisterly bond was profound. She bowed her head, bitterly saying, "Sis, that guy's primordial spirit probably rivals yours." 23 Chapter 1480 Chapter 362, Once in 100,000 Years Part 2. Ghost Ling Shuang remained silent for a moment before saying, "Once he ascends to the top 10, I'll have him challenge me." Ghost Ling Yu was taken aback, immediately understanding her sister's desire to stand up for her. She couldn't help but shake her head. Although she lost this battle, her opponent held back. If it were another of the top 10 clans, they'd seize this rare opportunity to weaken the ghost tribe and wouldn't miss it. From this gesture, she understood the young man's goodwill. Sister competing with him wouldn't be an honorable victory. "This loss is fine. It lets me know there are always greater heights beyond the peak." She took a deep breath, putting away the bitterness in her heart, and spoke slowly. Ghost Ling Shuang hadn't expected her to be undeterred. Her Dao heart unbroken, she instead gained such insight. Her cold eyes rarely showed a trace of gentleness, but it quickly disappeared. She nodded and said, "Indeed. Aside from those of the Emperor clan and the 2 Heavenly Palace venerables, he should be the strongest." Ghost Ling Yu glanced around at the other clan prodigies, noticing their expressions were somewhat grave. But having personally fought with Li Hao, she sensed he still held back. If he exploded with full force, he would be even more terrifying. At this time, Li Hao also returned to the Great Dream 9 Abysses. Upon arriving at the sect, many disciples joyfully congratulated him. Li Tai Mu, especially relieved, exclaimed excitedly, "Good, good, good. Defeating 2 clans in the top 10, even suppressing the ghost tribe's primordial spirit, who knows what kind of training you've undergone or under whom?" His statement was not an inquiry, but a heartfelt marvel, unable to imagine what kind of figure could have taught a monster like Li Hao. The Great Dream Master was equally surprised by Li Hao's tactics in this battle. Smiling, he said to Li Hao, "With your recent techniques, breaking into the top 10 would be a breeze." Li Hao nodded. "If so, that would be best, saving him more effort. That guy is really something." In the Yen Chu Immortal Dynasty, other heavenly sect disciples, including many from the imperial family, also looked toward the Great Dream 9 Abysses, their eyes focused on the young man. He was representing Yen Chu in battle, also vying for Yen Chu's prestige. Boyish Yuejian was somewhat contemplative. He specialized in the water Dao, not mastering as many techniques as Li Hao, but his were focused and extreme. Beside him, Chu Tianhuang nodded slightly, sighing softly. "Such a prodigy is a once-in-100,000-year miracle." Behind her, Chu Yueli trembled slightly at hearing her imperial brother's evaluation of Li Hao, surprised he held Li Hao in such high esteem. Among their peer prodigies, being rated as a once-in-10,000 years talent was the highest praise. In the true immortal realm this time there were already 7 or 8 such prodigies. Suppressing the ghost tribe, Father surely noticed this long ago. No wonder he would. Chu Yueli's eyes flickered, watching the young man surrounded by many in the distance, and for some reason her cheeks flushed slightly. With Li Hao's fight against the ghost tribe concluded, the next group of combatants was called on stage by the Immortal Guard commander. However, following Li Hao's battle with the ghost tribe, although this fight was intense, it seemed a bit lackluster in comparison, making the crowd's reaction somewhat subdued. Li Hao also observed Yu Shi and Gu Yan's opponents, surprised to find Yu Shi's opponent was the green dress girl from Wenda Mountain earlier. Wasn't this a case of a narrow encounter with an old enemy? Unfortunately, it wasn't him she faced. Before long, it was Yushi's turn to take the stage. Guyan's battle was scheduled much later, still some time away. Yushi flew onto the stage, seeing her opponent descend. A cold glint flashed in her eyes. Before going on stage, she hadn't talked much with Li Hao, but upon seeing her drawn opponent, she had already made up her mind. It seems you still remember me. The green dress girl saw the hostility in Yushi's eyes and immediately realized that she still remembered the previous matter. Yushi spoke icily. Previously deceived my junior brother and acted self-righteous, no wonder your Tao heart realm isn't high. I'll settle this grudge for my junior brother. Oh, such deep brotherhood in the same sect. The green dress girl raised an eyebrow, her expression carrying a bit of coldness, touched on a sore spot. Her Tao heart realm was indeed a weak point, but fortunately this time the Emperor platform focused solely on combat power. Speaking of which, I should thank him for sheltering a character like you into the top 100, becoming my stepping stone. The green dress girl mocked. Yushi's eyes turned icy, wasting no more words. Behind her, the Dharma aspect appeared, showing a blindfolded woman of the Chaos Witch clan. A chaotic aura was emanated, creating the impression that something unfortunate might occur on the Emperor platform. The green dress girl felt this oppressive atmosphere, an unsettling sensation, but quickly unveiled her own power. Her immortal power surged, and the 8-flower immortal seal glowed brightly from her forehead. The 9-flower immortal seals were rare, reaching 8 flowers was already uncommon, especially as she was in the true immortal realm, with the potential to add another flower. If it were him, I'd admit defeat, but relying on you, I fear you fall short. You're just the broom star of the Chaos Clan, huh? The green dress girl looked down disdainfully, unleashing her extreme realm aura. Dense golden veins appeared on her primordial spirit, showcasing uncommon might. Hearing her opponent's words, murder flared in Yushi's heart. She coldly replied, "You're unworthy of competing with my junior brother, it would sully his hands." As she spoke, she transformed into a jet-black light, swiftly shooting forward. The green dress girl also summoned her bloodline power, clashing fiercely with Yushi. Her race belonged to the true realm 100 races, ranked in the 70s, but far higher than the Chaos Clan, which had long been outside the 100 races. As the two fought, the Emperor platform reverberated with immortal techniques, extremely intense. Yushi's chaotic power continually devoured the green dress girl's immortal techniques. In this battle, her secret techniques grew increasingly refined, and within the Chaos Ancestral Witch's Dharma aspect, she seemed to gain a special understanding of various chaotic secret arts, feeling as if someone was constantly gifting her insights beside her. 24 Chapter 1481 Chapter 362 Once in 100,000 Years Part 3. Very quickly, Yushi grew stronger as the battle went on, suppressing the young girl in the green dress. The girl in the green dress was shocked and angry. Her opponent's combat power was even more terrifying than the previous battle. Yushi said nothing more and continued attacking relentlessly. The chaotic energy peeled away the flesh of the girl in the green dress, her body becoming tattered in an instant, as if infected with a decaying plague. This terrifying sight reminded many people of the fearsome nature of the Chaos Clan. Yushi knew this was something that couldn't be concealed. If people were afraid because of appearances, it wasn't their problem but rather the problem of the entire world. Both imperial power and cultivation are stained with blood, yet people only revere them and do not slander them. What she needed to do was not to hide her sharpness and fangs, but to let the world know, the power of the Chaos Clan is indeed terrifying, but so what? When one is strong enough to be feared, all slander will vanish. Very quickly, under Yushi's relentless attacks, the girl in the green dress was quickly defeated. This time, Yushi showed no mercy. After her physical body was decayed, she even invaded her opponent's primordial spirit. The girl in the green dress sensed her opponent's killing intent and screamed, begging for mercy, admitting defeat. The Immortal Guard commander intervened just in time to stop Yushi's killing intent. With the announcement of the Immortal Guard commander, the girl in the green dress felt as if she had received a great pardon. She cast a resentful glance at Yushi, gritted her teeth, and left the Emperor platform. Yushi didn't take her opponent's gaze to heart. The Chaos Clan had been slandered by the world for years, and there were countless enemies. One more didn't make a difference. Upon returning to the sect, Li Hao looked at this senior sister of his, whom he considered a little girl in his eyes, although her soul life was 10 times his age. However, perhaps due to her years of focus on cultivation, she appeared somewhat naive and inexperienced in the world to him. Yet in battle, she obviously treated him as her little junior brother to protect. "Senior sister, you've worked hard," Li Hao said with a smile. Yushi was slightly stunned. Seeing Li Hao's warm and sunny smile, she felt a difficult-to-describe sensation. She softly replied, "It's nothing, just couldn't stand that kind of person." Li Hao chuckled but didn't say more. As the subsequent battles continued, Li Hao saw that the much-anticipated Sword Heart and Ming Yu also took turns on stage. However, compared to other fights, their battles were extremely straightforward, ending in just one move. But what that single move condensed shocked many people. Like them, Di Linson was also defeated in one move, equally effortlessly. As for the Shen Wuji of the Divine Clan, he faced the Tai Kuan clan opponent, who was previously competing on the same platform with Li Hao among the top 100. That opponent had even expressed a desire to meet Li Hao in the top 10 battles, but after a fierce fight, he was defeated by Shen Wuji and nearly lost his life. Gu Yan was in the second-to-last group, and his opponent was a chaotic life form from the reincarnated imperial family, similar to boyish Xuejian, but not from the Chaos Snow Spirit clan. During the intense clash, although Gu Yan had comprehended the true intent of the Sword Immortal, he had only recently done so and hadn't yet integrated his Sword Dao into this sword intent. Despite his greatly increased strength compared to before, he was still defeated. Gu Yan hadn't expected that among the three of them, he would be the first to be eliminated. Even so, he didn't feel too distressed, as Yushi's performance had already earned his recognition. Soon, the top 25 battles were concluded. In the Great Dream 9 Abysses, both Li Hao and Yushi advanced, drawing much attention. Among the numerous heavenly sects and imperial family of Yen and Chu, besides the two of them, only 3 others advanced, making a total of just 5. Among those 3, 2 were from the imperial family, and 1 was a disciple of the Star Palace. As for the other 4 major heavenly sects, 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower, Tide Sect and others, all of their disciples were completely eliminated. This left the faces of members from several sects looking quite unpleasant. Although they originally only hoped for their disciples to contend for a spot in the top 100, which would have been a blessing, the performance of the Great Dream 9 Abysses made them feel uncomfortable in comparison. 25. Chapter 1482 Chapter 363, A Deadly Sword Strike. This battle selects the top 25. Congratulations to you 25, but don't be too pleased just yet. The Immortal Guard commander, with eyes like torches, scanned Li Hao and the other 25 winners and said, "The losers also have the right to challenge one winner. If victorious, they can replace them. Each disciple can accept only 2 challenges. This is a chance for the losers." Upon hearing his words, the group of losers were initially stunned, then their eyes brightened. The group of winners felt somewhat surprised. Some people's expressions changed slightly, looking a bit gloomy, while most remained calm, considering it merely a slight waste of time. So the losers have a chance too? That's better, it's fair this way. Great, I just faced that Emperor Clan guy, there's no way to beat him, he's almost nailed to advance to the top 3. Even if I can make it to the top 10, I'd still lose against such a guy. This top 100 format remains unchanged from before. Besides the excited disciples among the losers, the Heavenly Sect members breathed a sigh of relief, as this was consistent with the past. It seems I have another chance. Ghost Ling Yu's eyes flashed with light upon hearing this, as she scanned the figures of the other winners. At this moment, the 25 winners' golden phantoms were reflected above the Emperor platform. Naturally, she wouldn't challenge Li Hao again. There was no luck or mistake in that battle just now. She lost completely and won't be Li Hao's opponent anytime soon. Aside from Li Hao, few others gave her much concern. This is great, miss, you still have a chance to seize the top 5. Beside her, an elder from the Ghost tribe said joyfully, noting how fair the Southern Domain's rules were. Apart from them, others who had lost also began selecting their opponents. Gu Yan did similarly, feeling pleasantly surprised at such a good opportunity. He glanced around, searching among the top 25. Meanwhile, a green-skirted girl who had been defeated also chose from the top 25, carefully avoiding Yushi who had previously beaten her. After 3 incense sticks of time passed, the Immortal Guard commander stepped out airily and said, Now, who will come to challenge first? For a moment, the mountaintop fell silent, and the losers became temporarily still. I will. Soon someone stepped forward. According to the rules, each winner can only be challenged twice. Even if a weakling among the winners is challenged twice and wins, they can still advance. Therefore, the earlier you challenge, the better. It's the Taikuan clan. If they make a move, they'll certainly enter the top 10. I wonder which unlucky fellow will be chosen. Oh no, he's pointing to Qi Xuanyu from our Red Border Immortal Dynasty's royal family. He wouldn't be considered a weakling, given he's a member of the Immortal Dynasty's royal family and also from the Xianyang clan, ranked in the top 50 among the 100 races. The Taikuan clan is at least among the top 10 large clans. They wouldn't truly pick the weak, for winning like that would be shameful. Among the crowd, various discussions ensued, while inside the Red Border Immortal Dynasty, curses hummed, yet they were powerless to act. Standing among the Red Border royal family, Qi Xuanyu was extraordinarily handsome and tall, but his expression turned as dark as a pot bottom, looking extremely displeased. He had observed the opponent's previous performance, realizing he was likely not their match. Damn it, do they think I'm neither weak nor strong? Qi Xuanyu raged inwardly but still stepped onto the emperor platform. Soon as both sides entered the arena, the battle was imminent. This battle was intensely fierce, and although Qi Xuanyu knew he was outmatched, being challenged was unbearable. He resorted to damaging his bloodline foundation and employing secret techniques. But the Taikuan clan youth's deadly moves were extremely savage. With an invincible immortal body, he eventually suppressed Qi Xuanyu with brute force, taking his spot. With the losers' counterattack from the first match, Ghost Lingyu followed suit, choosing not the weakest but a young genius ranked 30th amongst the major clans. Her battle was quicker. Ghost Lingyu's movement technique swiftly closed in, directly expelling the other's primordial spirit from their body, then using her own primordial spirit to tear it apart. When she was about to finish, the opponent pleaded for mercy, conceding, only for the Immortal Guard commander to rescue them in time. Seeing the fierce performance from the losers, the faces of the other winners grew somewhat unsightly, with only a few maintaining calm composure, like Shin Wuji from the Ancient God clan, who looked extremely eager as if hoping someone would select him. Soon, other losers began challenging one after another, but not everyone, like Ghost Lingyu, possessed such extraordinary power to enter the top 10. Quickly, some managed to defend their status in the winners group. Time slipped by. As many losers continued to be defeated, their selection became increasingly cautious. Li Hao saw those losers glance at his golden phantom before promptly skipping over it, knowing fundamentally no one would select him. He found this convenient and peacefully took out the pastries he had bought earlier beside Great Dream Master and began to eat, meanwhile sharing several pieces with Great Dream Master. Old Man Li smelled the aroma and actively approached Li Hao to ask for some, but Li Hao requested wine in exchange. Old Man Li expressed dissatisfaction, questioning why he had to trade wine for pastries. She's the sect master and are you? Li Hao's words left him speechless. Feeling Great Dream Master's gaze, Li Taimu naturally showed no temper, though he fumed inwardly, realizing this brat was blatantly opportunistic. Finally, Gu Yan also chose his opponent. Great Dream Master picked a weaker soft spot among the top 25 for him, but Gu Yan didn't choose that. Instead, he picked Sword Heart. When witnessing Gu Yan's choice of opponent, the entire audience was astir, with countless people turning their attention toward this courageous youngster. 26. Chapter 1483 Chapter 363, A Deadly Sword Strike. So far, that Sword Heart is a direct disciple of the Supreme and is someone everyone believes has the potential to win the championship. Too fierce, is that guy seeking death? My God, is he not planning to win? Such an opportunity is wasted in vain. What is he thinking? Everyone looked at Gu Yan in surprise, unable to understand. Li Hao glanced at Gu Yan, saw the determination in his eyes, and immediately understood his thoughts. It is the mindset of a chess player wanting to play against a top player even at the risk of life. Beyond this opportunity, there might be no chance again. After all, even if he advances to the top 25, he might not encounter him. Gu Yan, why did you choose him? Old Man Li couldn't help but feel anxious. Such a rare opportunity was directly wasted. Even if I advanced to the top 25 with my strength, it would be my limit. Gu Yan shook his head slightly. If it were the top 10 he might fight for it, but there's no doubt he has no chance to enter the top 10, and the ranking within the top 25 holds no meaning for him. Rather than forcing an advance and then losing, why not? He didn't finish, instead leaped onto the Emperor platform. Li Taimu was stunned, not knowing what to say for a moment. The Great Dream Master was surprised while looking at the youth's back, the corners of his mouth turned up into a smile, saying, "Such conviction, the future holds a world for him to conquer, it's a good thing, short-term rankings are temporary, he's already tried his best for the sect, now he should fight for himself." Hearing his words, others also changed their minds, considering Gu Yan's courage to challenge the Sword Heart a valuable trait. Humph, does he not know life from death? In the 10,000 Mountain Sword Tower, many disciples sneered. On the other side, with himself being chosen, Sword Heart was a bit surprised. He was resting with his arms crossed, now slowly opened his eyes, and upon seeing the challenger's figure, his eyes slightly flickered, understanding the other's thoughts. "It seems the other wants to test your swordsmanship." Nearby, Ming Yu's lips curled. Teaching him a sword wouldn't hurt. Sword Heart's expression was calm, with a flicker he moved onto the Emperor platform. At this moment the ceiling array barrier closed. That boy actually challenged Sword Heart. Does he not know that Sword Heart is a monster rare in my clan for millennia? Far away on the Sword Peak, the ancient Sword Immortal clan gathered at the mountaintop. Seeing this scene, someone couldn't help but curse. Challenging Sword Heart, truly overestimating oneself. Does he think understanding the Sword Immortal's true intent can make him match Sword Heart? Sword Heart understood the Sword Immortal's true intent at the age of 100, apprenticed under the Supreme Sect, and has the potential to lead our clan's dominance worldwide, yet he dares to try his edge. That ridiculous kid, truly inconsiderate. Within the clan, everyone criticized, mocking the youth who left the clan. On the Emperor platform, silence prevailed. Gu Yan and Sword Heart looked at each other from afar, sensing each other's bloodline aura from the same clan. "I've been away from the clan for a while, apprenticed under the Supreme Sect, haven't seen you for a while. Which branch are you from?" Sword Heart looked at this fellow clan disciple, calmly asked. Gu Yan's eyes cooled slightly, saying, "No need to care, this battle is about the sword, nothing else." Sword Heart slightly raised his eyebrow, then gradually gathered immortal power in his palm, slowly forming a sword, saying, "You've just understood the Sword Immortal's true intent, eligible to be among top geniuses. For the sake of being from the same clan, I'll teach you a sword." 27. Let me experience how sharp our clan's strongest sword can be. Gu Yan squinted, his eyes turned unprecedentedly determined, to this clan's pride who apprenticed under the Supreme Sect. He had heard of him since childhood, being the pride of countless clan members, including his parents, grandfather, and the clan leader. He wanted to see how he compares to the pride in their hearts with his current self. Sword Heart spoke no more, his nature indifferent, not verbose. Even when meeting fellow clan people, his heart stirred little. This sword without frost. The sword shadow gathered in his palm slowly released icy white chill, and the temperature on the Emperor platform plummeted instantly, as if to freeze over. Gu Yan burst forth with all his strength, knowing only full force grants the qualification to test. Extreme realm power and Sword Immortal true intent all merged into his sword. At the peak of his state he looked at the clan prodigy before him, felt the opponent's overwhelming sword intent, as if facing a towering sword blade. That intense pressure made him even, despite embodying Sword Immortal true intent, feel his heart contracting. In his trance he seemed to see the clan's most majestic sword peak towering before him. Then gently slashed down. Frost spread, all things wither, like reincarnation. The speed of that sword wasn't fast nor slow, yet before Gu Yan's eyes it seemed to stir the space-time, pulling out a myriad of remnants. He temporarily forgot to act, dazed at the scene. When that sword neared his head, the acute crisis of death awakened his primordial spirit. He abruptly came to his senses, instantly burning the divine blood within, unleashing his strongest power. With a loud bang his sword chi had just condensed, yet under that sword's might, it shattered like thin ice chips. Afterwards his body flew backward, crashing onto the Emperor platform, losing all sense, the primordial spirit seeming frozen, numbed from pain. His head buzzed, eyes filled only with the sword that struck his sight. After a long time he vaguely regained consciousness, realizing he wasn't dead, a terrifying scar on his chest where cold dispersed. No doubt this sword duel was a loss, a complete defeat. Outside the Emperor platform, many in the victors group also turned solemn. That sword was extremely terrifying, most among them couldn't handle it. Apart from them, many in the participating Immortal Monarch Realm group also showed slight changes in complexion. What formidable sword Dao! Someone whispered, feeling that sword capable of threatening them. Water Dao 5th layer, Sword Dao 5th layer. Boyish Yuejian's eyes slightly contracted, whispering, his previously calm expression completely changed at this moment. His fingers tightened slightly, the youth before him in the true immortal realm, though they have a major realm difference, the opponent's mastery of Water Dao and Sword Dao matched his. 5th layer. Achieving this within the true immortal realm is almost impossible to attain. Reaching the origin 4th layer is already exceedingly exaggerated monstrous, while the 5th layer is a monster among monsters. Is this what a supreme direct disciple is, and this isn't his full strength yet? Chu Tianhuang's gaze also turned heavy, the youth before them made even their Immortal Monarch Realm group feel threatened. Though the opponent might not yet have the capital to defeat them, once he breaks through that boundary and steps into the Immortal Monarch Realm, the advantage of the superior realm vanishes, victory becomes uncertain. 5th layer Sword Dao. Li Hao's expression also turned heavy, it's the strongest Sword Dao he's seen in the same realm. His Sword Dao is only at the 4th layer. After all, his Sword Dao is at the 11th rank, which is the extreme. Unless he breaks through to the 12th rank, his Sword Dao will leap into the 6th origin realm. Furthermore, he can add extra points to elevate to the Immortal Monarch Realm. But currently, within the same realm, the opponent's strength has exceeded, surpassing the extent achievable at the true Immortal Realm. Such a strong sword. In the distance, Shen Wuji's eyes sparkled with battle intent. Previously the opponent's actions were extremely decisive. Though the revealed sword intent was profound, it did not match the horror exposed by this sword. Is that the direct disciple of the Southern Domain Supreme, miss? If you encounter that person, don't fight head-on. An elder from the Ghost tribe whispered, his expression turned serious. Ghost Ling Yu deeply looked at Sword Heart. This battle, the youth's mere sword made the many victors around feel their hairs stand on end, even she could only rely on primordial spirit to attempt a clash. It seems that a battle between the opponent and the Emperor clan will be quite splendid. Next to her, Ghost Ling Shuang spoke softly. After all, this is only the true immortal group. If the opponent steps into the Immortal Monarch Realm, she rather wants to compare her skills with his. 28 Chapter 1484 Chapter 364 9 Orders Unveiled, True Power. Gu Yan failed in his challenge. After returning to the sect, he fell deep into thought, ignoring everyone. The Great Dream Master also didn't let others disturb him, setting up a barrier domain for him to contemplate in solitude. Before long, all 25 strong challenges ended, with a few upsets, but most maintained their original standings. Yushi was also challenged, but she barely managed to hold her position. With the 25 positions finalized, the Heavenly Palace Venerable raised his hand, invoked the Heavenly Dao power, and drew the next matchups for the contestants. In the paired duels, there was one extra position. According to the rules outlined by the Immortal Guard commander, the person without a match would advance directly, but the losers had the option to challenge this person. If successful, they could take their place. When the drawing ended, the extra slot went to Di Linson. Many were in an uproar. As someone from the Emperor clan, Di Linson was a hot contender for the championship, and now, blessed with good fortune, he advanced directly without a fight. If it were anyone else, others might envy his luck, but with Di Linson getting this free pass, it left other contestants somewhat frustrated, as it meant they could avoid directly facing him. Li Hao glanced at his opponent, who turned out to be that ancient God clan youth. Surprisingly, he encountered him early on, before even reaching the top 10 battles. As Li Hao gazed intently, Shen Wuji saw that his opponent was Li Hao, and he immediately turned to look in Li Hao's direction. A smile appeared on his lips. Li Hao's methods of defeating the Ghost Tribe and the Heavenly Battle Clan earlier had pleased him greatly, especially the movement technique and primordial spirit shown when defeating the Ghost Tribe, which exerted pressure on him. Young Master, Li Haotian has not yet revealed his bloodline power, and we don't know which clan's prodigy he belongs to. You must be cautious. Beside Shen Wuji, an elder of the ancient God clan spoke in a low, solemn voice. That's what makes it interesting. Shen Wuji replied, his eyes shining with confidence and wildness. He was not absolutely sure of defeating Li Hao, but that was precisely why he had come to the southern domain to compete. Since childhood, those around him were easily defeated, which he found dull. Only by dueling with the older generation could he enjoy the thrill of battle. The ancient God clan, yet another formidable foe. The Great Dream Master noted Li Hao's opponent, her expression slightly changing. In her view, the ancient God clan youth was even more formidable than the Ghost tribe by threefold. Even though in terms of primordial spirit, the opponent fell short of the Ghost tribe, the ancient God clan's gifted secret techniques, coupled with the youth's own power, were already at the pinnacle in the true immortal realm. Even when facing the third level of Immortal Monarch realm, the opponent could battle and even win. This was beyond merely overcoming adversity. You must be careful. The ancient God clan's bloodline power is extremely strong and can greatly enhance the immortal body and immortal power. The divine blood end realm of the Power Passage realm was pioneered by a great emperor of the ancient God clan, laying the foundation for cultivation. The Great Dream Master spoke with gravity. In the countless ages of the true realm 100 races, those who still stand at the pinnacle today possess epoch-making power. In the most ancient times, when the cultivation system was not yet perfected, it was the birth of great emperors that completed the cultivation system as we know it today. Their talents were incomparable, supplementing the cultivation system. Universal force, circulation, soul continuation, each mortal realm stage was pioneered by a true realm great emperor in the barbaric wilds era, and they created the end realm for these stages, enabling the human race's bloodline power to be achieved. The divine blood end realm was pioneered by the great emperor of the ancient God clan? Li Hao asked, a hint of surprise in his eyes. Only now did he deeply understand why the immortal emperor realm commanded such reverence, and was so unattainable. Correct, the immortal emperor realm figures have epic opening feats. Like the heavenly calamity immortal emperor, who once created the 10 great immortal techniques, as well as numerous top-tier immortal bodies and controlling skills. Other great emperors pioneered breaking through to the end realm during previous cultivation practices, integrating this power into countless life bloodlines, giving them potential to break the extreme realm shackles and reach the end realm. The Great Dream Master said, her voice carrying a touch of piety and admiration. Li Hao's eyes flickered. It seemed like proof of attaining the Tao and becoming an emperor. What about his future emperor Tao then? As he mused, the Great Dream Master focused back on the current battle, solemnly saying, in terms of divine blood, the ancient God clan has numerous secret techniques that fully develop this divine blood end realm. Once their bloodline power ancient God descends is activated, they become temporarily invincible. Invincible? Li Hao was taken aback, finding such words surprising from the mouth of the Great Dream Master. Indeed, invincible within the same realm. The Great Dream Master nodded seriously, explaining, as you understand it, during such a state, their immortal body and immortal power reach their peak. If you can use your movement technique to outlast this state, there's a chance for victory. Li Hao understood. It was akin to the concept of 3-second true heroes. With the heavenly Tao's drawing concluded, the Immortal Guard commander announced the first group to advance. This first match was between Ghost Ling Yu and a member of the Yen Chu royal family, of whom Li Hao had no impression, but the opponent had previously ranked behind those in the ancient immortal realm, evidently no match for Ghost Ling Yu. As Li Hao expected, the fight ended swiftly, with Ghost Ling Yu easily victorious. The second group followed, then the third, as they successively took the stage. Yu Shi was in the 5th group and Li Hao in the 7th. Yu Shi's opponent was Ming Yu. The Great Dream Master knew at first glance that Yu Shi faced no real challenge. Hence, she primarily focused on Li Hao's and Shen Wuji's upcoming battle, while advising Yu Shi to take her bout as an exercise to experience the skills of other prodigious talents at the same level. 29 Chapter 1485 Chapter 364 9 Orders Revealed, True Power, Part 2. Yu Shi also understood that her entry into the top 25 was already her limit. Among these 25 she should rank in the 20s, nearly at the bottom. When she took the stage, she immediately unleashed all her strength, advancing aggressively toward her opponent. However, Ming Yu did not practice Sword Dao. Faced with Yu Shi's attack, she didn't retaliate immediately, but instead carefully sensed the chaotic power augmenting herself. Experiencing the devouring and turmoil within the Tao, she gained a deeper understanding of chaotic power. Subsequently, she struck with a palm imbued with wild immortal power, directly pushing Yuxi back. With her domineering immortal power and palm technique alone, she defeated Yuxi and destroyed her calamity path. The gap between them was too vast. Their immortal power was on different levels, and their controlling skill was even more disparate. Fortunately, the opponent had no intention of killing. As a disciple of the Heavenly Palace, given that this was their home ground, they disdained murder, as it would tarnish the reputation of the Supreme. After all, the outward purpose of the Southern Domain battle hosted by the Heavenly Palace Venerable is to support Southern Domain prodigies. If their disciples were to murder other prodigies during combat, it would be quite ironic. So strong, I wonder if Mingyu or Swordheart is stronger? They are senior and junior siblings, probably about the same, both direct disciples of the Supreme. Perhaps only the Emperor clan can force them to reveal their true methods. Perhaps the pinnacle duel of this battle will be an internal fight between them. Many people discussed fervently. In the immortal cities across the Southern Domain, countless recognized the terror of the Supreme's direct disciples and admired and revered the Supreme even more. Before long, the duel turned to Li Hao versus Shen Wuji. Just do your best. The Great Dream Master said softly to Li Hao, worried about Li Hao feeling pressure. Now, in the true immortal realm of the Great Dream Nine Abysses, Li Hao was the only remaining hope. Li Hao nodded, not intending to force things, believing that doing one's best is sufficient. Forcefully striving can be counterproductive and make one embarrassed and injured. However, the previous battles hadn't truly allowed him to exert himself fully. Swoosh! Li Hao's figure flickered. Amidst encouraging voices from the sect, he swiftly flew onto the Emperor platform. On the other side, Shen Wuji also quickly descended onto the Emperor platform. Looking somewhat excited, he said to Li Hao, "Didn't expect to face you so soon. I thought I would only encounter you when vying for the top 6 or 10. Please." Li Hao said politely, not harboring any ill feelings toward the ancient God clan youth. Shen Wuji smiled, also having immense appreciation for Li Hao. After all, he was the youngest in Soul Life, yet his talent was fearfully strong. Even the prideful Shen Wuji had to admit that at the same Soul Life, he would not be Li Hao's match. But now, in terms of strength level, he must not lose. Then let's have a wholehearted battle. Shen Wuji laughed. I won't hold back. All right. Li Hao nodded. Both felt a mutual admiration for each other. Li Hao realized that the opponent would be a very competent adversary, awakening in him a long-lost feeling of excitement. As the sealing array barrier closed, both their immortal powers erupted. Li Hao immediately invoked the All-Heaven Star Vein, then manifested the Myriad Shadows, Eternal Time Domain. Instantly, myriad silhouettes enveloped the Emperor platform. Even though he had used this move before, it said that a refinement of skill can conquer everything. Shen Wuji saw Li Hao demonstrate this fearsome move. Having anticipated it, his expression turned serious. Suddenly his entire body erupted with immortal power, shooting out splendid golden light. His hair turned gold, eyes as brilliant as the blazing sun. Behind him, an ancient Dharma aspect emerged, majestic and looming like a distant deity. Time Tao, is it? I can also suppress it. Shen Wuji's gaze was wild. He roared lowly, his whole body erupting with immense immortal power, his bones creaking as he fused with the Dharma aspect behind him. Li Hao's eyes focused. At this moment Shen Wuji's momentum increased by nearly tenfold. On his forehead was a golden 9-flower immortal seal, burning like gold flames. He quickly used the eternal time domain to encompass him, attempting a time stop. Instantly, the surrounding space-time seemed frozen, the Emperor platform plunged into silence, and Shen Wuji's body fell into tranquil stillness, yet the glow from the immortal seal on his forehead became even more golden, burning like a raging fire. Li Hao swiftly slashed with a sword, Qing Tian swordsmanship, piercing through void, directly attacking his body. This sword was enough to cleave Shen Wuji's ancient god immortal body, but at the instant the sword light hit, Shen Wuji's eyes suddenly twitched, and with a furious gaze he instantly punched forward. With a bang, the sword light was shattered by the fist shadow. The famed Qing Tian of the 10 great immortal techniques couldn't withstand the opponent's punch. For those like Shen Wuji and Li Hao at this level, even the 10 great immortal techniques of the true realm could hardly pose much threat. Divine Wilderness Fist. Shen Wuji broke free from the time stop, roaring as he charged. Time and space origin fluctuations appeared on him, traversing through Li Hao's eternal time domain. He himself had a domain encompassing him, also an eternal domain. However, his time and space origin was inferior to Li Hao's, merely third realm, yet he had already invoked the ancient god, his immortal power and body reaching the extreme. With raw strength, he traversed through Li Hao's time-stop domain, advancing fiercely upon Li Hao. Boom! His foot stomped in the void, the entire Emperor platform seemed to tremble. Accompanied by Gold's fist smashing down, space cracked, evoking a feeling of golden flames bursting and burning from the void. Li Hao's eyes focused. Indeed, this move didn't achieve a finishing blow against Shen Wuji. 30 Chapter 1486 Chapter 364 9 Orders Revealed, True Power, Part 3. Purple Forbid. He raised his hand and once again cast an immortal technique, also one of the top 10 immortal techniques, a sealing-type technique that only Space Origin can control and cultivate. This technique can prohibit all of the opponent's immortal laws. Yet as the Purple Forbid took effect, the purple light flickered and entwined around Shen Wuji's body, but the power on his fist did not diminish in the slightest. Li Hao's face slightly changed. This punch from the opponent was not an immortal technique, and even the descent of the ancient god seemed not to be an immortal technique, or rather it was a power that the Purple Forbid could not seal. With a boom, Li Hao raised his hand to take the punch head-on, only feeling as if the bones in his arm shattered, his body flying backward. Sealing-type immortal technique? Shen Wuji saw the purple light entwining his body, feeling the sealing power within, but a cold smile appeared in his eyes. Sorry, our ancient god clan is immune to sealing. While speaking, he once again approached Li Hao with murderous intent, his footsteps quick and his figure swift. Li Hao's figure flickered, once again multiplying into countless shadows, but Shen Wuji seemed to lock onto Li Hao's true form, directly targeting his real body. Li Hao took a deep breath, gazing at the opponent's terrifying power. He did not retreat but instead cast 2 immortal techniques, both top 10 immortal techniques. Water Source Reversal. Earth Source Uninjured. A mysterious yellow light enveloped Li Hao, who did not retreat but instead assumed a half-step stance, fingers clenching into fists. Facing the charging Shen Wuji, he did not evade but instead met fist with fist, striking out forcefully. Shen Wuji let out a long howl, the golden divine fist coming, 2 fists clashing fiercely, like a great bell reverberating across heaven and earth. Haotian. The great Dream Master was momentarily at a loss for words. At this moment, Shen Wuji in the state of ancient god descent had terrifying combat power. An ordinary true immortal couldn't withstand even a finger of his. Earlier, she had advised Li Hao to dodge, with the multi-shadow maneuver. If Li Hao had dodged with all his strength, he might have withstood this period. After all, Li Hao still had the all-heavens star vein. As long as he wasn't killed instantly, he could quickly pull out of the space. But she hadn't expected Li Hao to choose to confront head-on. Foolish. Daring to clash fists with the young master. The ancient god clan elder shook his head at this sight. But in the next moment his expression changed. In the void, Li Hao's figure did not fly backward but stood motionless, while Shen Wuji staggered 2 steps back. In Shen Wuji's eyes there was also disbelief. A pure force clash, how could he lose? Quickly, he saw the mysterious yellow light on Li Hao, his face changed, realizing it was some extremely powerful immortal technique. What is this? His eyes turned colder. For the first time he was at a disadvantage head-on. Li Hao naturally wouldn't answer him. This Earth Source immortal technique uninjured could allow him to withstand an attack once. As long as it didn't exceed the limits of the true immortal realm, it could be blocked, even against a 3rd level of Immortal Monarch Realm attack, unless it was the 5th level of Immortal Monarch Realm, which would break the uninjured immortal technique and injure Li Hao. And just now, when Shen Wuji stepped back, besides bearing Li Hao's power, there was also the countershock of Shen Wuji's own punch force. Whoosh! Li Hao manipulated the multi-shadow, simultaneously attacking Shen Wuji. The opponent could see through the multi-shadow, indicating he had mastered other secret techniques, and to cultivate a secret technique to the extent of seeing through the multi-shadow would also take a considerable amount of time. Prodigies have almost no obvious weaknesses. If it were another true immortal, merely the multi-shadow movement technique would be enough for Li Hao to easily kill the opponent, even without a scratch. Facing the attack of tens of thousands of Li Hao's figures, Shin Wuji's expression changed, and a furious look suddenly rose in his eyes. He suddenly raised his hand, the fist intent bursting out from his chest, a golden phantom revealing outside his arm, transforming into a giant fist shadow. He swung his fist violently to sweep away all of Li Hao's movement technique shadows. But at the same moment, Li Hao let the multi-shadow all cast Earth Source Uninjured and Water Source Reversal. Both immortal techniques are among the top 10, comparable to Qing Tian, possessing similar ultimate powers. Under the horizontal sweep of a fist, many shadows remained, and even tens of thousands of fists gathered, striking at Shin Wuji's body, sending his body flying backward. This scene left the distant ancient god clan's divine mountain silent and speechless. Here, the members of the ancient god clan gathered, all observing the battle of Shen Wuji. Earlier, the performance of Li Hao had been seen by the ancient god clan members, but they did not expect Shen Wuji to lose. Yet they didn't expect that in this current battle, after Shin Wuji used the ancient god descent, he was still being suppressed by Li Hao. 4 kinds of immortal techniques, all are the lost ceiling heavenly calamity immortal techniques. Who is that young man? Could it be? No way. If that's true, wouldn't his coming here be suicide? On the ancient divine mountain, several elders of the ancient god clan murmured, eyes filled with surprise and doubt. On the Emperor platform, Li Hao manipulated the multi-shadow, all showing the invincible fist stance, surrounding Shen Wuji, the fist shadows falling like rain. Shen Wuji's body shook repeatedly, spraying golden blood, appearing battered and bruised, hair disheveled, constantly parrying yet still retreating step by step. Seeing this scene, everyone outside the Emperor platform was shocked and speechless. No one expected that Shin Wuji, who had been so domineering all the way, was being suppressed by Li Hao. Whoosh! Li Hao's true body swung out Qing Tian swordsmanship, along with numerous fist shadows, constantly attacking. With the all-heavens star vein, he was able to waste immortal power so recklessly at this moment. Otherwise, just previously executing the multi-shadow maneuver once would have consumed nearly half of his immortal power, making the current battle already strained. Bastard! Suddenly, an angry roar erupted. Shen Wuji, enraged, swung his fist to shatter the surrounding shadows, smashing the sword light that Li Hao slashed toward him. 31 Chapter 1487 Chapter 364 9 Orders Revealed, True Power Unleashed Under Sir 4. Originally these were supposed to be for those guys, but I didn't expect to use them on you. Shin Wuji's eyes revealed intense anger. Although he acknowledged Li Hao, he did not think Li Hao was worthy of his full effort. But now he was pushed to this point. Relying solely on the descent of the ancient gods, he couldn't suppress it. Young master. Outside the Emperor platform, the elder of the ancient god clan was stunned, his face changed dramatically. Divine War Sky Song. Shen Wuji let out a low growl as if it burst from his throat, his eyes sharp like a wolf's. Suddenly, a golden mist erupted from his body, rapidly healing the wounds on him. Immediately afterward, his foot stepped forward, and his body sprang into an ancient and strange war dance. That posture, like an ancient witch god dancing during a sacrifice, mysterious, eerie, yet each step tread upon the void of the Emperor platform, stirring up golden lotus platforms. It turns out to be the Divine War Sky Song, the most terrifying secret technique of the ancient god clan. Legend has it that the great emperor of the ancient god clan once battled Heavenly Tao with this war song, opening a golden age for the ancient god clan during the barbaric Wilds era. I heard this emperor-level war song once during the ancient demon war 100,000 years ago, where it shattered the supreme beings of the ancient demon clan into pieces. Many elders from the southern domain showed signs of shock as some long-lost memories resurfaced. No one expected to witness the shadow of this emperor-level war song in this true immortal realm battle. Outside the Emperor platform, other contestants' faces turned pale, looking at this scene with horror. Ghost Ling Yu, Ghost Ling Shuang both bore solemn expressions. It is the Divine War Sky Song. He actually mastered the prelude. Ghost Ling Shuang murmured softly, her gaze turning serious, unexpectedly finding this genius of the ancient god clan, apart from Hao Yan and Emperor clan, so monstrous. Such formidable momentum, it's rumored this war song can even influence Heavenly Tao. Ghost Ling Yu murmured, the golden lotus stepping out seemed like burning waves, making her eyes feel a stinging sensation. If she were on stage in this battle, she felt she would likely not be a match for Shin Wuji. This move was too shocking. Who would have thought apart from the Emperor clan there would be such a character? Elsewhere, Sword Heart and Mingyu, their previously indifferent eyes now both reflected seriousness. The overwhelming momentum on the Emperor platform made them feel some pressure. Divine War Sky Song. D. Linson, who had a bye, sat on a stone at the mountaintop, originally drinking wine, now focused his eyes. At this moment on the Emperor platform, along with Shen Wuji's strange movement technique, the surroundings of the Emperor platform seemed to fall into a forbidden immortal territory. Li Hao felt his all-heavens star vein had dimmed at this moment, unable to connect to the heavens. He was stunned, encountering such a situation for the first time. The opponent's means could actually lock his heaven and earth vein end. Feeling the immortal power within him unable to be absorbed, Li Hao immediately withdrew his many highly consuming immortal techniques like the myriad shadows. He felt these immortal techniques being enveloped by a force, continuously decomposing, its effect 10 times stronger than forbidden immortal skill. Simultaneously, his Tao origin within was entirely blurred and unable to be sensed. This strange situation gave Li Hao a bit of alarm. It was something he had never encountered before. Facing Shen Wuji's bizarre movement technique, yet intensifying aura, Li Hao realized that if he continued relying on those 10 immortal techniques, he would most likely be defeated. The opponent was the strongest contender he had encountered in this southern domain meeting so far. It's time to end this. Shen Wuji's steps suddenly halted, yet he stood amidst an unusual domain of laws. Divine War Sky Song, capable of disrupting heavenly Tao, rendering others' immortal techniques ineffective, including the Tao origin being sealed, unable to be sensed. In the same realm it was almost an invincible existence. Coupled with his own ancient god descent state, at this moment, he was equivalent to suppressing a true immortal realm with 10-fold true immortal perfections forces, yet no immortal techniques and secret techniques existing. As golden light gathered on his fist, he prepared to give Li Hao the strongest blow, as a form of respect to the one who forced him to reveal his trump card. Divine War Sky Song, how did it come to this? Outside the Emperor platform, Li Taimu's eyes were dazed, showing despair. Great Dream Master also appeared somewhat lost, unexpectedly finding this ancient god clan youth mastering such a terrifying thing, and only at the true immortal realm. This was too monstrous. If merely the ancient god descent, she felt Li Hao still had some hopes, but now. Her lips were bitter, yet her heart was calm, only sighing softly. This. Yu Shi and Gu Yan were observing the scene in a daze, obviously in the same realm, but now they felt, compared to the peak, their gap seemed vast, akin to the difference between true immortal first layer and true immortal perfection. On the Emperor platform, Li Hao watched the dazzling golden light fly at him, inhaling deeply, no longer able to hold back. Unable to perceive the Tao origin from the heavens, he began to release the powers within his immortal seal. Accompanied by the emergence of dazzling silver light, Li Hao's forehead displayed the outline of 9 flowers. Previously in battle, Li Hao had already shown 9-flower immortal seal. No one was surprised, but with the silver light becoming more dazzling, the Tao origin aura from each flower also manifested accordingly. Time, space, form, control, metal, wood, water, fire, earth. 9 orders Tao origin aura intense and dazzling on Li Hao's forehead. 32. Chapter 1488 Chapter 365, Defeating the God. This battle forced out all of Li Hao's immortal seal power. As the aura of the 9 sequence spread out, outside the Emperor platform, many contestants felt the 9-order Tao emanating from Li Hao's forehead. It wasn't just the space-time origin previously displayed by Li Hao, but the other 7 sequences as well. 9 flowers, 9 sequences, how is this possible? It is actually the 9-sequence immortal seal, and he has mastered all of the 9 sequences? Could it be he is also the immortal emperor's direct disciple? Everyone was shocked, including those immortal monarch realm who had yet to participate, who all looked at Li Hao with surprise. He is not only 9 flowers but also the 9 sequences. Chu Tianhuang and others were stunned. They too possessed the 9-flower immortal seal, but it couldn't compare to Li Hao's 9 sequences. Understanding even one of the 9 sequences marks one as a prodigy. Mastering 2 places one in the top tier among prodigies, while mastering all 9 sequences is an existence akin to rarity across the entire southern domain. He is also 9 sequences. Outside the Emperor platform, on Mingyu's face cold as frost, there was a bit of disbelief. Apparently, she hadn't accounted for anyone else having the 9-sequence immortal seal aside from her and her senior sword heart. If it was the Emperor clan possessing this immortal seal, she might reluctantly accept it, given that it is the Emperor clan, the strongest bloodline ranked first among the true realm 10,000 races, with immeasurable depth and unknowable capabilities. But if she remembered correctly, the soul life of the young man in front of her was less than a century old, and he could master the 9 sequences. 9-sequence immortal seal, the most supreme of immortal seals, only second to that distant legend. The Great Dream Master and others within the sect were also stunned. None of them suspected that Li Hao was cultivating the 9-sequence immortal seal. In the distant void, a figure swiftly traversed. At this moment, he too saw the young image reflected in the starry sky, and was dazed for a moment. Then his expression changed dramatically. 9 sequences? You have already condensed out the 9 sequences? His eyes showed shock. He hadn't imagined that in only a few years apart, that little fellow who just received the inheritance had in no time condensed out the 9-sequence immortal seal. This was already the requirement for the immortal emperor to accept a direct disciple. He even no longer needed to seek out Shi Miao's reincarnated body whose soul heart hadn't withered. Merely Li Hao's talent and potential were enough to become the new direct disciple. As Li Hao's 9-sequence immortal seal was revealed, the entire southern domain was shaken into speechlessness, while atop the Emperor platform, Li Hao's previously bound original Dao power re-emerged, stronger and more imposing than before. Shen Wuji also saw Li Hao's immortal seal. His fierce, condescending gaze changed, becoming incredulous. He didn't expect that the 9-sequence immortal seal, which he himself hadn't achieved, was accomplished by the young man in front of him. You! His mind was greatly shaken, but he quickly regained his composure, his eyes flashing with intense anger. He roared, stepping out with bizarre steps, charging toward Li Hao. Boom! The golden fist shadow burned like a dazzling meteor fireball crashing toward Li Hao. Li Hao raised his head, the power of the 9 sequences swirling around him. Even just the space-time origin power was sufficient to create terrifying Dao domains and killer moves, let alone the current amalgamation of form commanding and 5 paths. He raised his hand, immortal power surged from within, yet with 4-fold control Dao origin, urging it to the extreme, increasing 9-fold. The controlling skill in the Shuntian ancestor scripture and the ancestor immortal body both reached their pinnacle at this moment. Then the power of the 5 paths circulated, merging into his fist. This punch, water and fire, time and space were all fused into one punch. Boom! Li Hao swung out his fist. A sharp sonic boom sounded in the void, like some kind of wailing, making one's scalp tingle. It was the explosion sound of the void being torn apart by the fist strike. The blazing fist intent instantly collided with Shen Wuji's fist. The entire Emperor platform rumbled, and the ceiling array barrier stirred terrible ripples, like thousands of waves surging. Be aware, this was personally arranged by the Immortal Guard commander, with the power of the Immortal King realm. At this moment it was also influenced, causing turbulence. With a boom, the golden fist shadow shattered instantly. Shen Wuji's body flew back, spitting a mouthful of golden blood, sprinkling it on the Emperor platform. His body crashed against the ceiling array barrier, bones emitting cracking sounds. He fell to the ground but quickly climbed up again, his whole body's shattered bones and arm healing rapidly, his self-healing ability as perverse as Li Hao's. Although he hadn't acquired the All-Heavens Star Vein, the ancient God clan's secret technique in utilizing the divine blood end realm far exceeded others' imagination, being able to further amplify the power of the divine blood end realm. This also caused him, like Li Hao, to be able to heal quickly as long as he wasn't torn apart instantly. Seeing Shen Wuji stand up, Li Hao's eyes concentrated, his entire body's momentum accumulated once again, his body creaked, unleashing Fat Yin Xiangdi, his body expanded enormously, showing his true physique. This physique, cultivated in the Saint realm, besides that the heaven and earth law manifestation behind him, also had phantoms of all saints surrounding, a heaven and earth law manifestation of the Dharma aspect extreme realm. However, this All Saints Heaven and Earth Law manifestation was only in its embryonic form, not yet truly condensed, but its might was no less than 10 times that of the Heaven and Earth Law manifestation Dharma aspect. Subsequently, Li Hao entered the extreme of transform to immortal. His body seemed to merge into heaven and earth, blend with the true realm, immediately borrowing the vast and boundless immortal power. In this extreme integration, he vaguely touched a trace of celestial venerable will and lent it to himself. Heavenly power as my power, heavenly heart as my heart. Li Hao's fist clenched tight, the immense immortal power condensing, relentlessly compressing, emanating terrifying fluctuations. Seeing Li Hao's huge fist, outside the Emperor platform, the old man of the ancient god clan's face changed drastically. At this very moment, even through the sealing array barrier, he could feel the formidable power condensed on that young man's fist. 33 Chapter 1489 Chapter 365 Defeating the God Part 2. The force was like a celestial body on the verge of explosion, terrifying beyond measure. Young master, do not confront it head-on, he hurriedly shouted, but the sealing array barrier blocked the sound, making interference from the outside impossible, and the conversation within could only be guessed from lip movements. Naturally, the two engaged in battle wouldn't pay attention to the lip movements of others to speculate on their discussions. He actually borrowed the will of the celestial venerable. In the mist, Emperor Qi and other emperors witnessed this scene with solemn expressions. The boy's performance surprised them, causing a slight tremor in their hearts. Only Emperor Chu remained serious, fixated on the scene. In Yuan Xingong's reports he was already aware of the boy's talent, but the current display exceeded his expectations, delighting him even more. Bang! Shen Wuji did not retreat. The doctrine of his life never included retreat. Therefore, when Li Hao gathered that terrifying punch, though he sensed its horror, he felt a more fervent madness. He employed the extraordinary power brought by the prologue of the war song, combined with the descent of the ancient god, to unleash the fist of the divine. But at the instant the fists collided, an enormous will descended, lofty and unreachable, casting a faint, overlooking gaze upon him from the supreme height he could only look up to. His spirit shook tremendously, and in this blurred illusion, an intense pain abruptly surged through. His fist, from knuckle to wrist bone, shattered into pieces, followed by his arm, shoulder, and chest cavity. With a loud boom, Shen Wuji's flesh and blood parted from his body, golden blood splattered, and his organs exploded. In resisting the punch with his body, his flesh and blood were blasted apart, leaving only a skeleton with a few remnants of flesh hanging on it. All this happened in an instant, appearing as if Shen Wuji was blasted away by a punch, leaving only his skeleton. The golden skeleton was exquisitely crafted, with hair, flesh, and other features obliterated, leaving only a skull. Upon closer inspection, cracks were found throughout the skeleton. "Young master!" the elder of the ancient god clan exclaimed in shock. In the distant territory of the ancient god clan, many of its people watched this scene in horror. They did not expect that the prodigy of their clan, Shen Wuji, would fight so tragically. In the clan, several elders were solemn, not expecting that besides the Emperor clan, there would be such a monster in this southern domain battle. The Nine Order Dao truly extraordinary. An elder from the ancient god clan muttered, glancing at the golden skeleton reflected on the Emperor platform, a hint of regret in his eyes. In comparison, that boy was indeed superior. At this moment on the Emperor platform, Shen Wuji's flesh and blood had exploded, and his skeleton flew backward. Though severely wounded, he had not perished. However, this meant his physical body was currently in death. And this also indicated that his primordial spirit would temporarily leave his body. As his primordial spirit detached, Shen Wuji witnessed the tragic state of his physical body, looking at Li Hao in shock and anger. In that brief exchange, all he felt was a sweeping invincible force, and upon seeing his physical body again, realized it had been killed by Li Hao. "Do you have any other tricks?" Li Hao didn't pursue with a second punch. In fact, with his current strength, he couldn't gather a second punch. The power of the All-Heaven Star Vein was sealed by the opponent's mysterious war song. Though there were signs of loosening, it was momentarily unable to condense that robust immortal power. He had already exhausted all the immortal power within the Emperor platform. "You're also at the end of your strength." Shen Wuji's primordial spirit scanned Li Hao's declining immortal power, his eyes lighting up as he laughed. "Without the All-Heaven Star Vein End Realm, no one can outlast me." As he spoke, flesh rapidly regenerated on his body. While his body was healing, a golden phantom emerged from Li Hao's form. 34. "I never planned to exhaust with you. If you've got no other skills, just admit defeat." As he spoke, Li Hao's primordial spirit phantom raised a hand, with the palm collapsing into a vortex, drawing Shen Wuji's primordial spirit towards it. Shen Wuji was stunned, his pupils contracted. The ghost tribe had all fallen to Li Hao's primordial spirit before, unable to contend against it, let alone himself. Though his primordial spirit was also strong, realizing now that Li Hao's was even more terrifying. He roared in fury, his primordial spirit desperately resisting, yet it remained uncontrollable, flying towards Li Hao until seized by Li Hao's primordial spirit, quickly compressed into a golden soul sphere. It seems he's lost. Ghost Ling Yu observed the scene, understanding that Shen Wuji had no chance of reversing the outcome. She gazed deeply at the scene on the Emperor platform. Both parties displayed monstrous capabilities, and she acknowledged being no match for them in the near term. Beside her, Ghost Ling Shuang slightly nodded, her eyes flickering with a sudden sense of urgency, realizing that the boy, after merely 100 years of cultivation, had reached such a level, and perhaps soon would be catching up to them. Truly remarkable. On the other side, boyish Yuejian, Chu Tianhuang, and others took a deep breath, sighing emotionally. Once these two enter the immortal monarch realm, they will be formidable opponents, none of whom had the confidence to defeat. Even just in the true immortal realm, the battles were so spectacular, astonishing them all. Incredible. Chu Yueli's eyes shimmered with light, her chin slightly lifted with an indescribable excitement, thinking that he would soon be her husband, giving her an inexplicable feeling. Admit defeat, your chances are gone. On the Emperor platform, Li Hao spread his hands, gazing at the sphere in his palm. The ball bore the features of Shen Wuji's face, filled with shock and anger, never anticipating he would end up like the ghost tribe. But now, although he struggled frantically, Li Hao's primordial spirit power was more daunting than that previous punch, leaving him utterly defenseless. How is your primordial spirit so strong? How did you cultivate it? He couldn't help but ask. In just 100-year soul life, possessing the 9-order immortal seal, and a primordial spirit so formidable, he had no weaknesses. Even he, cultivating his primordial spirit to such a level, relied on the assistance and cultivation of many clan elders, consuming countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to strengthen it. Yet, how did this boy achieve it? It's impolite to inquire about others' cultivation. Li Hao couldn't help but smile. Shen Wuji realized his mistake and knew Li Hao wouldn't disclose it, but his heart was too shocked to accept it. Li Hao applied a little pressure with his palm, continuously pressing his primordial spirit. Shen Wuji regained clarity, his face showing a blood-stained, complex expression, gritting his teeth and glaring. I yield. He realized he, at one time, thought that he would rather die fighting than surrender, but now that it was happening to him, he suddenly found himself speaking those 3 words. Once Li Hao heard this, he released his grip, causing Shen Wuji's primordial spirit to be sent back into his physical body, quickly healing. The lock of power on the Emperor platform dissipated as Shen Wuji kept his power in check, and Li Hao felt the all-heavens star vein power again, as his body began to rejuvenate as well. Shen Wuji looked sullen, but retracted his power as the immortal guard commander stepped forward. His gaze locked onto Li Hao. Admit defeat since he had no chance. At this moment, a cacophony of cheers erupted across the southern domain and in every immortal city after a brief stillness. Innumerable immortal cities echoed with cheers reaching the heavens. Throughout all these immortal cities, cheers erupted, echoing to the skies. Li Hao had defeated the prodigy's Shen Wuji under his feet, showcasing the exceptional 9-order immortal seal. Ghost Ling Yu saw the scene and suddenly her expression changed when she heard the immortal guard commander's words. She never believed that Li Hao was just an ordinary human race with no special lineage. 35 Chapter 1490 Chapter 366 Heavenly Calamity Disciple. After the battle ended, Shen Wuji's eyes dimmed. He cast a deep glance at Li Hao, turned around and dejectedly stepped off the platform. Losing to Li Hao the 9-order immortal seal, and with only 100-year soul life, the pride in his heart was completely shattered. If Li Hao had 1,000-year soul life, he might have found some other reason to comfort himself, but now there was no solace at all, he was utterly outmatched. Young master. The elder from the ancient god clan approached, and upon seeing Shen Wuji's expression he was shocked, becoming extremely anxious, fearing that Shen Wuji's Dao heart might collapse and he would become despondent. Although a prodigy shines brightly like an unsheathed peerless sword, once the sword is blunted, its brilliance will be lost. I'm okay. Shen Wuji's voice was hoarse. He said this and then silently lowered his head, without another word. Compared to his previously wild eyes, haughty demeanor, and imperious gaze, now he was like a defeated peacock, but without obvious dejection. He just became more restrained, with his eyes undergoing transformation. As a top prodigy, he felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart at this moment, but this battle did not completely break him. His Dao heart did not collapse. Instead, something inside changed, becoming different from before and awakening something sharper. The elder from the ancient god clan was unaware of what his young master was thinking inside. His face was full of worry, not knowing how to persuade him. This sort of thing is also a rare opportunity, and an ordeal one must face in life. No one can always win without defeat. The sooner one experiences defeat, the sooner one can attain enlightenment. However, whether one can rise from failure depends entirely on personal ability and disposition. That young man, is the supreme beckoning to him? Suddenly, the elder from the ancient god clan exclaimed in surprise. Upon hearing his words, the silently bowing Shen Wuji was also slightly taken aback and looked up. At this moment, the only thing that could stir his heart was that young man on the platform. Other prodigies from major clans in his mind didn't hold as much weight as this young man, unless those two Supreme's personal disciples or those people from the Emperor clan were present. On the Emperor platform after Shen Wuji left, Li Hao also withdrew his power, preparing to step down from the platform. But suddenly, the Supreme amidst the clouds lifted his hand and gently beckoned to him. A voice appeared in his mind. "Child, come here." Upon hearing the voice, Li Hao looked towards the heavenly palace venerable, only to see the other party's calm gaze overlooking him. From that gaze, it was impossible to discern what thoughts were in his heart. In matching his gaze, Li Hao felt as if he were plunging into an ocean and mire, a sensation of being immersed beyond rescue. His primordial spirit seemed to be rapidly detaching from his body, with his consciousness on the brink of collapse and separation. Li Hao's pupils slightly contracted, he felt a bit of trepidation in his heart. Is this the power of the immortal emperor? Just by looking into his eyes, Li Hao felt madness creeping in. In those emperor's eyes, terrifying divine soul power was present. Even though it wasn't deliberately directed or revealed, it was still impossible to meet directly. It was like an abyss, merely standing at its edge and taking a glance could make one dizzy, with the feeling of falling. Though he did not understand why the other was summoning him, Li Hao still flew out from the Emperor platform and obediently flew towards the other. Perhaps it was the performance in the recent battle that had earned him the favor of this heavenly palace venerable? Li Hao thought to himself, considering it a possibility since he had just showcased the 9-order immortal seal, which is the standard requirement for the immortal emperor to accept disciples. In the clouds, Emperor Chu and others noticed Li Hao flying over and were surprised. They immediately noticed that Li Hao was heading towards the heavenly palace venerable at the front. Their eyes moved slightly, each harboring their suspicions. Could it be that the heavenly palace venerable had taken a liking to talent? Such a situation was rather normal. After all, in this southern domain confrontation, these prodigies had come to make a name for themselves. Their purpose? Was it not to gain the favor of eminent teachers and powerful figures, to become their disciples and obtain better cultivation resources? The heavenly sect, although a top sect of various immortal dynasties, how could it compare to the imperial family? Moreover, there were many sect disciples to consider, while having multiple mentors would bring even more abundant cultivation resources, supporting the prodigies in their extreme cultivation across realms. Emperor Chu, congratulations, it seems that your dynasty's son-in-law is about to become a Supreme's personal disciple. Beside him, Emperor Tianzhao said with a smile, though his words carried a touch of mockery and schadenfreude. Emperor Chu's eyes darkened slightly. If Li Hao were of the imperial family and became a disciple under the Supreme, it would be a good thing, but being merely the son-in-law. For a cultivator, a Dao companion might not be the only one, just as he himself, with many members in his harem spanning long eras, had met saintesses and prodigies from various clans and formed good ties with them. For this reason, he knew that merely the identity of a son-in-law could not bind Li Hao. This is a good thing. In the future, the Yan Chu immortal dynasty can also seek aid from the heavenly palace venerable, hoping for more reinforcements in confronting the ancient demon together. Beside him, Emperor Jin smiled. His words sounded like congratulations, yet also carried a hint of sarcastic undertone, both feelings expressed subtly, making it hard to discern his true intentions. Emperor Chu did not speak, only gazing at Li Hao's back. Emperor Jin's words had another layer of suggestion that he understood in his heart. At this moment, Li Hao had already arrived in front of the Heavenly Palace Venerable. Seeing this scene, countless people at the mountain summit were in an uproar, exclaiming and voicing their envy. "Look, that Haoyan has reached the Supreme. He must have been summoned by the Supreme, otherwise how would he dare? What does this mean? Is the Supreme going to take him as a disciple?" Surprised? With Haoyan's aptitude, becoming a Supreme's personal disciple is normal. 36 Chapter 1491 Chapter 366 Heavenly Calamity Disciple Undersur 2. Countless people looked at this scene with astonishment, showing envious expressions. Although surprised, considering Li Hao's performance in the battle just now, it seemed logical. In the crowd, Sword Heart and Ming Yu exchanged a glance, then swiftly flew to their master's side. If this person becomes their master's disciple, he will be their junior disciple from now on. In the Great Dream Nine Abyss sect, the Great Dream Master Li Tai Mu and others were dumbfounded, then looked at each other in disbelief. This moment was something they hadn't anticipated, but seemed reasonable, leaving them unsure of what to do. The Supreme wants to take a junior disciple? Yu Shi and Gu Yan were startled, then showed complex expressions, though their hearts felt joy for Li Hao. To become a disciple of the Supreme is a great fortune. However, this would widen the gap between them and Li Hao, uncertain if they could still call him junior disciple in the future. Amidst the astonished and envious murmurs, Li Hao slightly bowed his hands to the Heavenly Palace Venerable and said with respect. The Venerable's gaze remained unchanged, as calm as water, revealing no inner thoughts. He slowly asked, "Haoyan, is it? You have remarkable talent. Where do you come from?" Li Hao's eyes slightly changed and he softly replied, "Junior comes from Yan and Chu." "You weren't born in Yan and Chu, were you?" The Heavenly Palace Venerable said calmly, but with a trace of indifference in his voice. Li Hao was stunned, looking up at the Supreme, but all he saw were those abyss-like emperor's eyes, casting a great majesty upon him, feeling a desire to kneel in submission. Yet his Tao heart was eternal, maintaining clarity amidst the majesty, secretly feeling reverent. Could it be that the Supreme sees through his origin? Indeed, the immortal emperor is the end of the true realm, the pinnacle for cultivators, possessing incredible power beyond imagination and comprehension. All disguises might be meaningless before such an existence. Moreover, his place of origin was not something to be kept in the dark. He answered, "Junior comes from the Heavenly Calamity Illusion Realm." As his crisp voice fell, suddenly Li Hao felt the surrounding mist slowing its flow, and the noisy envious voices atop the mountain instantly quieted down. Only a few surprised and questioning voices remained, yet seemed quite loud in the silence. Li Hao was puzzled, looking up to see the Supreme's expression still unchanged, revealing no thoughts. His gaze turned to the surroundings, noticing that apart from Emperor Chu, the other Immortal Dynasty emperors wore strange expressions as they looked at him. On the ground, the many sect masters and elders of the Immortal Dynasty Heavenly Sect were also full of surprise, with some sudden realization, their expressions complex. Li Hao was somewhat puzzled, wondering if he had said something wrong. What's happening? What occurred just now? Amidst the crowd, some young ones questioned their elders in confusion, but the elders had complex expressions and remained silent. Is the Heavenly Calamity Illusion Realm some extraordinary place? Why have I never heard of it? Someone questioned, looking at Li Hao in surprise, regarding it as a mysterious and supreme holy land. Its name alone paled countless people. You haven't heard of it for good reason, that was a matter from 100,000 years ago. An elder lowered their head and responded to their offspring, an expression of aged sorrow. Qiang. During Li Hao's confusion, the Heavenly Palace Venerable called a name. An arc of crimson silhouette atop the mountain heard the call, eyes slightly changing, rose and swiftly descended beside Li Hao, bowing in salute. Master. Li Hao looked at the woman beside him. It was Qiang who had assisted when the Heavenly Calamity Illusion Realm was invaded by ancient demons, aiding him. Upon arriving here, he already knew she was the disciple of the present Supreme, though not directly taught. When you brought back people from the Heavenly Calamity Illusion Realm, was he among them? The Heavenly Palace Venerable asked calmly. Qiang nodded. She had reported this incident to her master at the time, and her master had rarely asked for specific details, which she explained one by one. The most impressive to her was Li Hao, whom she saw as an extraordinary talent. She didn't expect that he could reach the battlefield of the southern domain so quickly, displaying such brilliance, even defeating powerful clans. Moreover, the Nine-Order Immortal Seal was something she hadn't achieved, yet he had grasped it. With Qi Ying's answer, the Heavenly Palace Venerable silently looked at Li Hao and said, "You have mastered forbidden immortal techniques like sky soaring, restoration, and boundless shadows, and come from the Heavenly Calamity Illusion realm. If I'm not mistaken, you are a disciple of the sinful immortal of Heavenly Calamity, correct?" Li Hao was fine hearing the earlier words, but when the latter part was mentioned, he was suddenly astonished. He looked up at the Supreme before him, facing those imposing Emperor's eyes, and questioned, "Sinful immortal?" At this moment, Emperor Chu and the other Immortal Dynasty emperors also had a slight change in their eyes, realizing something was amiss, quickly understanding why the Heavenly Palace Venerable summoned Li Hao. "I guessed as much when he performed those immortal techniques." The original Venerable Empress's eyes slightly changed, staring at the youth's back, not showing shock, but secretly revealing a hint of pity, extremely subtle and unnoticed. Emperor Tianzhao suddenly turned to look at Emperor Chu, eyes displaying a meaningful look. "You mean you don't know?" The Heavenly Palace Venerable saw Li Hao's puzzled expression, and with calm eyes slowly said, 100,000 years ago, ancient demons rampaged through the True Realm. In that earth-shattering battle, we immortal emperors united in a counterattack, but at that critical moment, someone retreated, causing the defense line to collapse. The ancient demon invasion wreaked havoc, severely damaging the southern domain. Over these years, I've continuously drawn heavenly Tao power to nourish the southern domain True Realm to maintain the current situation. 37 Chapter 1492 Chapter 366 Heavenly Calamity Disciple Under 3. His voice was neither hurried nor slow, yet each word was like a pearl, resonating on the mountaintop and reflecting in the immortal cities of the southern domain. Regarding the words of the Heavenly Palace Venerable, countless people in the immortal cities of the southern domain have heard them since childhood. This is also the reason why the Heavenly Palace is the center of the southern domain and is revered and loved by countless people in the southern domain. It was the Heavenly Palace Venerable before him, who expended a great cost in that battle to preserve the southern domain. As for other great domains, they were left in ruins. After the war, it was also the Heavenly Palace Venerable who assisted the major clans of the southern domain in rebuilding defenses and reconstructing today's peaceful inner circle of the southern domain. Although today's active area is 10 times smaller than its prosperous period 10,000 years ago, the population has greatly dwindled, and the ancient demon occupies most of the star domain. The current situation is already the best outcome for the various clans of the southern domain. What does the Venerable mean by this? Desertion? Could he be talking about? That's right, do you still remember the chase 8,000 years ago? Indeed, during the aftermath of those forbidden activities, the 10 greatest immortal techniques, once famous throughout the southern domain, were classified as forbidden and have gradually been lost, unable to be displayed anymore. Speaking of which, the technique that Hao Yan just used seems to be one of those lost 10 immortal techniques. It appears he really is a disciple of the Immortal Emperor. As the successor of the Sin Emperor, he actually dares to participate in the Southern Domain campaign. My gosh, does he really not fear death? You can't say it like that. The one who erred was the Immortal Emperor, not him. With his 100-year soul life, these past grievances shouldn't be tied to him, should they? In each immortal city, many of the older generation sighed, their expressions complicated, not expecting that this extraordinarily talented monster was actually a disciple of the Immortal Emperor. Meanwhile, in the immortal cities of Yen and Chu, some figures were watching the heavens with shock, anger, and tension, clenching their fists and saying nothing. Some of them were usually beggars by the roadside, others were the madams of deep alleys, and some were old women by the river washing clothes. But in the long river of time, if one backtracked thousands of years, they would find that they've always been like this, their neighbors around them changing batch after batch, but they remained unchanged. In an even more distant era, they were clad in golden armor, commanding great power, ruling regions, starkly different from their current fallen state. Hearing the Heavenly Palace Venerable's words, they clenched their fists, veins popping on their faces. The blood rage that hadn't surged for thousands of years seemed about to explode from their chests, their eyes revealing a man-eating glare, staring at the heavens but avoiding the reflected eyes of the Venerable, only fixating on the mist beside him. Indeed, even in their furious madness they dared not look directly at him, not out of submission to his majesty, but because staring in anger, even across millions of miles, would be detected and sensed by that Venerable. At this moment, Sword Heart and Mingyu, who had flown to the edge of the clouds to join their master, were slightly taken aback by his words, then looked at the young man. Being exceptionally intelligent, they naturally understood the meaning in their master's words. This matter was something their master mentioned not long after they became disciples, which once made them indignant. They just never expected that the existence that caused their indignation had a disciple right before their eyes. Desertion? Li Hao looked at the heavenly palace Venerable, somewhat stunned, having never heard Elder Wang speak of such a thing. Moreover, when he received the inheritance in the Emperor Hall, only the Emperor's soul Luo Li remained, and there were few treasures left inside. There weren't even any immortal stones given to him, only 3 IOUs. What poverty, and it also indicates that in that battle his master, whom he had never met, had already consumed everything. Yet the Venerable before him claimed that the other had deserted? Venerable, could there be some misunderstanding? Li Hao questioned. 38. Chapter 1493 Chapter 367, Supreme accepts a disciple. Upon hearing Li Hao's words, before the heavenly palace Venerable could respond, Sword Heart and Mingyu, who had hurried over, couldn't help but step forward. Mingyu rebuked angrily. Silence. Li Hao was taken aback and turned his head to look, seeing the previously icy-cold young girl now filled with wrath. My master is such a person, holding up the heavens and earth, the end of the immortal divine. How can you question him? Mingyu said angrily, her beautiful eyes like autumn water full of anger. For others who grew up in the true realm and were deeply imbued with reverence for the immortal emperor, there would be no doubt. Even if the immortal emperor said the sun in this world was black and the moon was purple, they would only be curious, not skeptical. Although Li Hao was unfamiliar with the young girl, he knew she was the direct disciple of the Supreme. Seeing her so furious, he couldn't help but frown, feeling some inexplicable anger welling up inside. I'm not doubting, I just think there might be some misunderstanding and I raised a question. Why are you so furious? Li Hao said coldly and defiantly, your master is an immortal emperor supreme. Does that mean another isn't and you are allowed to insult? Hearing Li Hao's words, Mingyu's eyes turned cold. This matter is well known throughout the southern domain, the evidence as solid as iron. That's your business. I'm new here so I don't know. Li Hao's face remained cold, unwavering. Although he had never met that master, only received their legacy, everything he witnessed in the Emperor Hall, including Elder Wang, the venerable god of the true Venerate Tower, and the soul Luo Li standing in the Emperor Hall with mournful eyes, made Li Hao not believe the person would flee from battle. If they fled, why did they perish? In the distant starry sky, a figure sped rapidly, looking at the reflected scene in the stars with some distraction. Flee from battle? How could that be possible? Who is spreading rumors? Who is slandering? Heavenly Emperor, you were the dear friend, how can you allow someone to slander? He murmured, filled with shock and disbelief. Slandering an immortal emperor, a meritorious one at that, such a thing should not happen. At this moment, above the clouds, Sword Heart beside Mingyu said with a serious face. Since you don't know, you should find out. That one is your master, right? How can you be so indifferent to your master's affairs? Hearing his words, many who were slow to react were now exclaiming in surprise. Li Hao is indeed the disciple of the immortal emperor, but they didn't expect him to be the disciple of the one who became forbidden. The name of that immortal emperor had become a taboo long ago, 7 to 10,000 years ago, forbidden to be spoken. He really is that immortal emperor's disciple. No wonder he's such a monster, but even so, being monstrous for an immortal emperor's disciple is a bit excessive. It's a pity he's a sinful immortal's disciple. I wonder how the Supreme will deal with him. That matter is so long ago, such talent, if executed, would be a waste. With ancient demons looming, we lack prodigies in the true realm. Give him 1,000 years, he will surely be a demon-slaughtering general. All over the southern domain, countless people were intensely discussing this matter. I said I'm new to the true realm, even if I want to find out it takes time. With his identity exposed, Li Hao saw no need to hide anymore, especially since the Heavenly Palace Venerable had already pointed it out earlier. That's right, I am the disciple of the Heavenly Calamity Immortal Emperor. The immortal technique I demonstrated earlier is the legacy left behind by him. Li Hao raised his head, sweeping his gaze around the surroundings, yet his heart sank. He saw Emperor Chu, the original Venerable Empress, and other emperors of various dynasties, all with dim expressions and complex emotions in their eyes, seeming to be a mix of regret and pity. This kind of gaze gave him a foreboding feeling in his heart, but now, even if he tried to conceal it, he couldn't fool the eyes of the Heavenly Palace Venerable before him. If the other chose to make things difficult for him, no amount of explanations would help. He was sure the other had 100 ways to pry open his mouth. Thus, his heart was instead candid. As far as I know, my master has already fallen, perishing long ago in the ancient demon war, even leaving behind an extremely simple legacy. Li Hao raised his head and scanned all directions. Although he did not know the truth of so many years ago or whether the master truly fled from battle, he looked into his heart and believed the master did not do so. Moreover, even when he fell into despair, it was the master's legacy that indirectly saved him. Don't laugh, but the reason I came to the True Realm was purely out of poverty. Li Hao's voice resonated through the sky, raising his hand as he took out 3 immortal stone IOUs and displayed them to the crowd, saying, "This is what I received from the legacy. My master's immortal stones were 3 IOUs, not a single immortal stone. And in the Heavenly Calamity Illusion Realm where I lived, there were no legends of the immortal divine, nor any legacy of the true immortal. The immortal divine had all perished in that ancient war, with not even the most ordinary true immortals left behind. I may only have 100-year soul life, and though 10,000s of years have passed since that war, far too distant for me to have any qualification to discuss or comment on it. From all I know, I believe my master did not flee. There must be some misunderstanding here." His voice was extremely loud and resolute, accompanied by unwavering conviction, echoing throughout the southern domain. The people present, along with their extensive cultivation, could see clearly the stamps and contents on the IOUs through thousands of miles. When the old survivors from those times gazed at the unfamiliar yet familiar stamps, ancient memories were instantly invoked. The business guilds that once spread throughout the southern domain were famous across immortal dynasties, employing numerous strong protectors but had faded into history's long river over time. 39. Chapter 1494 Chapter 367, Supreme Accepts a Disciple, Part 2. Unexpectedly, one can still see the seals of the 3 major merchants today. Is this real or fake? No immortal stones, just IOUs? The legacy left by a mighty immortal emperor is so miserly? How is it possible? This IOU must be fake. Which immortal emperor would have IOUs in their possession, and who would dare owe an immortal emperor immortal stones? That seal is definitely genuine, built by the Tao of the 3 major merchants. It's impossible to counterfeit. Otherwise, how could those 3 major merchants have been so widespread in the southern domain back then? That's right, their seals can't be faked unless an immortal emperor intervenes, but why would an immortal emperor stoop so low? Countless people were discussing it, shocked that Li Hao, as the disciple of an immortal emperor, had become so impoverished. In their eyes, an immortal emperor's disciple should have countless auras and cultivation resources piled up like mountains, so how could he not have even a single immortal stone? How could this be? Ming Yu, who had been angry earlier, was now shocked at the IOU in Li Hao's hand. Sword Heart frowned tightly, staring at the young man's face, trying to determine if he was lying. In the realm of Yen and Chu, among the 9,000 immortal cities, those figures with faces full of anger looked at the 3 IOUs raised by the young man in his hand, thunderstruck and frozen in place. Soon, some people's eyes were wet, others clutched their chests tightly, feeling a heart-wrenching pain burning inside. They couldn't imagine how hard that revered person must have struggled to leave such a meager legacy. In the starry sky, Wang Shanhe, who was on the way, had a touch of sorrow on his aged face, for he alone knew the extent of the fight his lord had endured in that battle, and what had been done. In Heart Inquiry Floating City. Sitting by the sea of clouds on the mountainside, old Han watched the scene reflected in the clouds quietly. His face showed no surprise, extremely calm, as if long expecting this scene. "Foolish boy," he murmured softly, muttering to himself. The true realm is perilous, sold and not knowing it's your destined calamity. Among many whispers, the voice of the heavenly palace venerable sounded, speaking slowly. The matters of those days no one wishes to believe, yet it is indeed the fact. Many witnesses were there, and the investigation lasted for over 10,000 years. I also pursued it for over 10,000 years, hoping for other hidden truths, but regrettably. He shook his head slightly, sighed softly, and said, under the collaboration of those two emperors of the ancient demon, he chose self-preservation, which is understandable, given how tough cultivation is, whereas this IOU, the immortal stones you mentioned, that's another matter. They aren't directly related, maybe he used them for recovery due to severe injuries. His light words fell into everyone's hearts like spring water. Hearing this, everyone suddenly sobered up. Many elders from great clans, some born in the aftermath of the chaotic war era, had heard of that shocking trial from long ago. That trial implicated numerous great clans' downfall, including the Chaos Clan, which once served under the heavenly calamity immortal emperor. The ancestral witch of chaos fell even earlier, in a boundary-breaking battle few among the older generations have heard of, entrusting the clan talents and lifeline to the heavenly calamity immortal emperor. And post the ancient demon war, with the fall and disappearance of the heavenly calamity immortal emperor, the Chaos Clan declined. Moreover, numerous interconnected great clans have faded from memory. The once glorious and prevailing Fusu immortal dynasty and the heavenly calamity imperial city have now become history. 40. Indeed, mere IOUs don't prove anything. Injured in battle, fleeing in desertion, I heard my great ancestor personally witness the turncoat departing from the battlefield. This makes sense, surely injured and depleted his resources, those who could desert the southern domain and ignore the world would indeed not leave any inheritance. In the blink of an eye, people looked at Li Hao again, their gazes varied, some with pity, others with aversion. Li Hao was stunned, not expecting everything he said to be overturned by a few words from the other side. If not from the heavenly calamity illusion realm, he might also believe the other's words. But a gut feeling told him his master would never betray the southern domain. Li Hao turned to look at Emperor Chu and the other emperors of the ancient immortal dynasties. The 7 ancient immortal dynasties had existed for 100,000 years, and the wars did not extinguish them, their legacies survived. Your Majesties, you were present at that battle, weren't you? Li Hao asked. Hearing this, Emperor Chu, the original venerable empress, Emperor Tianzhao, and others had slight shifts in their eyes but quickly calmed down. Emperor Tianzhao slightly raised an eyebrow, saying calmly, "Young one, indeed we were present at that battle. Though our prowess was insufficient back then, we did contribute, and many indeed saw the heavenly calamity immortal emperor abandon the field and the southern domain." Li Hao was stunned. He surveyed Emperor Chu and others, seeing their expressions incredibly calm, with unspoken agreement, as if they concurred. But how could it be? Could it be he had other matters and left temporarily? Li Hao couldn't help but ask. Emperor Qi in his brilliant red imperial robe spoke slowly, "Such matters we considered as well. Without absolute evidence, none would wrong an immortal emperor, but the truth is, after his departure, the defense line collapsed quickly, devastating the southern domain severely, and he made no appearance. Until the nearing end of the war, sparse news emerged, yet it had lost significance." Saying the last sentence, she gave Li Hao a deep look, their gazes locked. Li Hao was stunned. The events took place too long ago, shrouded in ambiguity, making uncovering the truth almost impossible. And overturning their current narrative seemed equally futile, as if everything truly was so. Yet, deep within, he couldn't believe it. "Are you his direct disciple?" the heavenly palace venerable asked. Li Hao was a bit dazed, thoughts floating, shook his head, "No." Hearing this, many were astonished, surprised that with Li Hao's talent, he wasn't a direct disciple. Sword Heart and Ming Yu also slightly raised their brows, equally surprised but followed with discomfort. Although they didn't think the young man surpassed them purely based on talent, he qualified as a direct disciple. The standards for pupils set by the sinful immortal were stricter than their masters, which irked them. Though unaware of how much you've inherited or how deeply affected, considering the struggles of cultivation, I'll spare you from death," the heavenly palace venerable said softly. Li Hao was stunned, looking up at him, quickly grasping his predicament. If the heavenly calamity immortal emperor bore the crime of betraying the southern domain, within the southern domain, he was akin to the descendant of a traitor, expected to be executed without dispute. Thank your master, Ming Yu coldly remarked. Li Hao remained silent, yet inside surged a notion. Should there ever be an opportunity after mastering the time origin to the 10th realm, he would cross the river of time to witness that battle himself, uncovering the truth, vindicating his master. Though spared, going forward you must abolish those immortal techniques. The Heavenly Palace Venerable stated calmly, seeing as your talent and perception are exceptional, I'll allow you one chance to apprentice, and if you pass the test, I'll accept you as a direct disciple. A declaration like thunder on a clear day left everyone dumbfounded. After brief silence, exclamations erupted, and many watched Li Hao with envious excitement. No one anticipated that the Venerable would not pursue the issue further, but instead offered him an opportunity. Sword Heart and Ming Yu glanced at each other, their expressions subtly shifting with complexity and reluctance, but they knew their master's will was unchangeable.